Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
I'm sure no one will mind.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing, nutters, messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump, you know what I'm saying?
Bienvenidos, mi amigos, a la edición 484 del manicomio y asilo de boxeo. Soy tu anfitrión, Mateo Di Gianardo. Hoy, Esteban Wellings y Andy Peña de Hierro Patterson. Calificaciones en la aplicación de su elección, ya sea Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube. And also with us, Ozzie Smith. How's it going today, guys?
I'm impressed.
Fuck's sake.
With this boxing schedule, Steve, I have been left with the time needed to translate an intro into Spanish.
Very good, Matty. I know you have Italian heritage, but there you go, a bit of Spanish too.
So that literally could have been anything, and I'm none the wiser. It sounded good, though.
Thank you. I've been
thought it was
working on
Esperanto.
I was expecting David Diamante to go, like, say, it's time!
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, though, guys. Slow week in boxing, but at least the card we got was pretty entertaining. I didn't agree with the decision. Andy, it busted my parlay, but Isaac Dogboe beating us all. None of us picked him. Picking up that split decision over Joet Gonzalez. As I said, I don't agree with the decision. I thought that the size played and the bigger man was walking him down, but it was a close competitive fight. Entertaining. Good watch.
Yeah, I think I said it last week. It was close to a 50-50 fight. Probably a kind of crossroads fight. Dogboe's, that's what, 3 in a row now. He's been given the close decision. I thought Dogboe did pretty well, in terms of how he tried to fight. He tried to kind of do it mostly off the back foot. Stuck his jab pretty well early doors, and then he obviously tried to tee off him with 3-4 punch combinations to try and get out at distance. I think he got slightly wobbled. What was it, round 4, I think it was. And it looked like he was weak. I think a bit time to kind of recover for that. Maybe round 6, he seemed to start picking it back up. Other than all, mate, it was a moment. It was a fight of moments of guys having their their moments, and it wasn't really a kind of conclusive winner, shall we say. It was a very, very close competitive fight. I kind of felt it kind of went either way. I wasn't really personally scoring it. If you prefer like aggressive fighters, then obviously you're probably going to see it to Gonzalez. I thought Dogboe was doing pretty well though for what I was seeing. The jab combinations. I think the only thing if you're going to give it to Gonzalez, probably because he hurt him. Pressure, he was finding that lobbing right hand over Dogboe's guard, which is quite loose, especially round about the guard over the top. He can get caught with uppercuts up the middle as well. So even though he wins this fight, and I was going to mention you guys, it's kind of weird to watch a supposed eliminator being a 10-rounder. Actually, I thought these eliminators were usually 12-rounders. But if that now makes him mandatory now for Navarrete, that'd be the third fight that Dogboe's going to have with that guy, and I just don't see the need for it, to be honest with you, after how the first 2 fights have went.
Well, no, and for me, when I was watching that fight, Oz, something that I felt strongly about last week, but it just number of rounds. If this was 12 rounds, I just felt like Gonzalez probably was going to put Dogboe down a little bit. I thought the size was really starting to tell a bit, and I was a little bit surprised the judges gave that last round to Dogboe, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. I thought his start probably cost him ultimately. I thought he was pretty slow out the blocks in the first three. And then I'm not saying he took over, but certainly warmed into the fight as the rounds went on. I thought Dogboe started quite well. I was really impressed with him. Let his hands go. You know, it was a great fight. And I agree. It was essentially a genuine 50-50. I had it a draw. Watching it, I watched it a couple of times and just felt that there wasn't. If you were going to favour one, you'd probably favour Gonzalez, but you know, a draw around either way. You know, I'm not gonna, cry robbery or anything like that. I don't agree in the fact that it should have been. This is even any sort of eliminator over 10 rounds. You don't contest world titles over 10 rounds. So why are we having eliminators over 10 rounds? It's a bit of an insult, really.
And they keep recycling the same challengers too. I'm wanting some fresh blood in these championship fights.
The thing is, those last two rounds, that's when they could prove pivotal. You know, especially if you're struggling with your stamina, weight problems.
Absolutely. And as I said, he's not here, who is a slow starter as well. Gonzalez probably would have benefited from those 2 rounds as well, and ultimately I think would have taken over and walked away with a points win. But yeah, great fight. Dogboe is still shown that, I think both the pair of them are probably, like that. They're by no means the best in the division, but they certainly, got something to offer at that, like that fringe world level, or against a certain champion, perhaps, they'd be in the away corner, a good chance to win. I agree. If this means he's now the mandatory for Navarrete, what's the point? What has he done to warrant such a rapid rise up the rankings again to get in a position from where he's been, beaten up twice? I don't mind that he's had his last 3 wins have all been majority decisions. That's okay. That happens. But at the same time, can we honestly say that, this mandatory challenger is A, deserving, and B, will we even see, anybody even see any sort of other result aside from a Navarrete win? Because I can't.
No, the reason being, I mean, Navarrete, bigger guy, obviously, like Gonzalez wasn't there, but he just has higher activity. And it just seemed to me like if Gonzalez had pushed it another 8, 10, 12 punches around Oz, I think he probably comes away with a stoppage late in that.
I agree, and that's what I mean about the slow start. In the first couple of rounds, he barely did anything as such, or first 3. I mean, I saw some arguments that people felt that he could have claimed the second. I disagree on that, actually. I had him, I had Dogboe winning the first 3 just purely on activity, and he did land some decent shots as well. But yeah, you're right. Had he have been more active and used that size to the right effect, then yeah, I think we'd quite well be looking at a different winner.
Also joining us today, Donnie Baseball. Sorry, I don't have the Spanish translation for that one. Before we get into the fight here, just bring this up to Donnie. This is the first time I've heard from Donnie in 3 weeks, and I had to change my travel plans because I didn't hear from Donnie in 3 weeks. I was going to go see him in Connecticut, and I said, give me a call back and we'll shore up plans. And that was 3 weeks ago. So now my plane trip to Connecticut is now a road trip playing golf around Colorado. Donnie, how are you?
Wait, did you ever think to call back? I mean, I don't
did, and you never called me.
All right, whatever, man. Just come out. Just come out.
Who's the bitch in that relationship then?
You never, yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, you never called me back.
You never called me back. Well, you should have called me back first. What the hell, man?
He's a typical attorney. You got to fucking bust your ass to get him on the phone for 5 minutes, and then he charges you for an hour.
So he should.
Anyway, Donnie, give us your thoughts on the Joet Gonzalez Isaac Dogboe fight. As I was telling the boys, it busted my parlay, and I felt a bit done in, but it was a close fight.
Oh, it was razor close. I watched that last night. I was coming home. Actually, I was doing some work, catching up on some stuff at the office. My wife was away this weekend with her friend, and
Male
so I
or
was
female?
a female.
All right.
So yeah, there's nothing untoward there going on. Don't worry.
So you think?
Unless it's going on between them, in which case I support it. But anyways, no, I was just watching the fight, and I just enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, Dogboe, he was the boxer in the fight, and in the first few rounds, he clearly, established. I thought he was going to dominate Gonzalez pillar to post. I thought he was going to, I thought it was going to be like a 99-91 type of fight. But then, as often happens when you've got, a pressure fighter, the boxer's legs wore down and helped by body shots from Gonzalez. And then he was in a fight, and he had difficulty getting out of some of those exchanges, and he wasn't really having a say in those exchanges. I think it was Gonzalez that was always seemingly having the better of it. And then in the late rounds, like maybe starting round 7 or whatever, he started to get it back a little bit. Dogboe did, and it was nip and tuck. It was razor close. I actually thought Gonzalez won it. I thought he got it by a round, but it could have gone either way. And it was just a great fight. I'd like to see a rematch of it, but I know that it was an eliminator for a title, so we probably won't, at least for a little while. But I just that was some great action for an ESPN card on a Saturday night that didn't seem too eventful. I tuned in, and I was pleasantly surprised with the quality of action that I saw.
Yeah, it was definitely under the radar as far as quality went. Quite surprised by that card, all in all. Before we get to the rest of it, Steve, why don't you give us your breakdown of this fight, Senor Esteban?
Mental breakdown. No, I echo what Donnie says, actually. It was a good ESPN card. I watched it this morning, obviously not on a Saturday night. But one of our other American correspondents in the chat, Chase Athletics, I haven't seen him yet, but he said in the chat last week that it was a 50-50 fight, and he's right. It was fought that way. It was close at the end, like the boys have said. I picked Joet Gonzalez last week. Against myself, really. I was thinking, Dogboe, he's a bit of a warrior and all. I actually thought Dogboe done enough in the fight. Two of the judges
talked
agreed.
you into that one. We totally talked you into that one.
To be honest, if I hadn't have had the discussion, I would have gone with Dogboe, but I can't say anything. The more I thought about it, I thought, yeah, it makes sense, man. He's the bigger guy. He's the better fighter. I thought Gonzalez, he'll get the win. But no, I thought Dogboe won last night. Don't necessarily agree with the route that the judges got to the decision, but you guys have mentioned what I was going to come up with as well. A return to a gripe I had last week, and I've had this gripe with ESPN in the past. I don't know why this was a 10-rounder. This is 2 experienced world-level guys. It was effectively an eliminator back to the top. It should have been a 12-rounder. There's no excuses for this. Championship fights need championship rounds because that's often where these fights are won or lost. That distinguishes between the contenders and the champions. Should have been a 12-rounder. The 10 rounds just flew by. Joet Gonzalez is pretty limited to a point. We knew that. He lacks a bit of nuance. And when he landed that right hand in the 4th round, he buzzed Dogboe a little bit, his knees went, and I thought, he's going to get him now, that right hand. He just went right hand happy, looping it in, wasn't setting up behind the jab, wasn't going to the body first, even though that's what his corner was telling him to do, and coming back upstairs. He was crouching down into Dogboe's fight. And we know all about Joet Gonzalez by now. He's kind of like a solid fringe guy. He'll never trouble the best fighters because he just lacks that extra special ingredient to take it to the top. And his most defining career moment's probably that family beef, the family barbecue beef with Shakur Stevenson, which led to Mark Kriegel squeezing a whole segment out of that shite.
To be fair, you'd probably bang his sister too.
Well, I haven't seen her, so I can't say. I'm not walking into that trap. I've got a lawyer on the phone here, so I'm not going to answer that one.
Steve, I saw pictures. You would.
Okay, well, fair enough. I'll take your word for that. Anyway, as for the winner, Dogboe, like you boys said, wants a 3rd fight with Emmanuel Navarrete. Nobody needs to see that again. We know who the better man is in that rivalry. Dogboe's style lends itself to close fights, split decision, off the back of a majority decision, off the back of another majority decision. But I like him. Have a soft spot for him. Based on nothing more than the fact I saw him early on in his career. He fought in Belfast on the Waterfront Hall. There was nobody in there at all. The punches were echoing off the walls, and he just seemed a nice, genial guy, smiling all the time. Garner produces some shit boxers these days. We've talked about this on the pod. You can't help but root for a good one, and Isaac Dogboe is a good fighter.
Yeah, he is.
By the way, I saw. Oh
no, go ahead, Don. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I saw that in his last 4 fights, Dogboe's been undefeated, and then in Gonzalez's last 5 fights, he's lost 3 out of the 5. I haven't gone to BoxRec before I came on here, but what were those 3? I mean, because he seems like a good fighter. I mean, to lose 3 out of his last 5 fights is seems like a bad deal for him.
One was Shakur, one was Navarrete.
Yeah.
I can't remember the other loss, but I mean, I don't think the Dogboe beat Christopher Diaz. I thought that fight could have easily gone to Diaz.
I think this is the 3 of the 5, isn't it, Matty? Because he beat Mariaga, beat somebody else.
Yeah. There you go.
Dogboe's the third loss.
There you go. Yeah,
Dogboe is the third.
Yeah, because
loss,
right? They both came into the ring with 2 losses. Yeah, they did.
And like losing to Shakur Stevenson is nothing to be ashamed of.
Well, and neither is Navarrete, but Christopher Diaz, fighting close with Christopher Diaz, I thought that was a bit of the tail there. And Steve, I honestly thought that when Gonzalez started giving his height away, I thought that he was more effective. I think that when he was struggling punching down at Dogboe, and when he got a little bit more bend and decided I'm just gonna lean into him a bit, I thought that's when he started to turn the fight personally.
Yeah, no, you are right. I thought crouching into Dogboe didn't suit him, but he was getting. I thought it was cramping the right hand a little bit, but it upped his activity levels, and he was hitting arms a bit more, and he was having more success. It didn't allow the leverage for the right hand, but he was having more success doing that. So maybe he should have done a bit more of it.
It's kind of like Isak Cruz, where he's so comfortable punching up because that's what he's always been doing. And if you change that level on him a little bit, I think it's going to fuck with him a bit.
Yeah, that's a good point. What about Gonzalez's hair, Matty? It's an impressive little comb over going on there, isn't it?
Yeah, his hair was pretty bad, but that's a good segue. Staying in the undefeated club and also being a part of the Great Hair Club as well, Steve. Giovanni Cabrera taking out Gabe Flores, also putting Rob in front of you in the prediction league by a point. The streak is over, Steve. But Cabrera, God, I'll tell you what, man, I'm high on this kid, and I think, and my friend Adam Abramowitz, I know you guys give him shit sometimes, but Adam thinks that Cabrera is just a spoiler. Steve, when I look at Cabrera, I see somebody that is getting better and better as each fight goes along. And if he continues on this trajectory, he's not a spoiler. He's a challenger for some very good fighters in a stacked 135-pound division.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I agree with you. I think that's another L for Abramovich. I don't see him as a spoiler at all. I think that he's a pretty good boxer. But I'm going to have to start off here, like ESPN, who went to the loser for some reason afterwards. I'm going to have to start off with young Gabe Flores, because I think this is a man they need to keep an eye on. He soaks up punishment like a sponge. And afterwards, when they were interviewing, he said that he needs to do things differently. Absolutely, Gabe. He needs to start listening to his father. But I think after 10 rounds of advice, his father could not get anything through to him. Couldn't get him to stop leaving his head on the line, as Tim Bradley kept saying, standing in range. I don't know how that will work out for him listening to his father, because it hasn't worked out for him so far. And Cabrera, he fought well on the outside. Don't know about spoiler. Thought he was patient. He was poised. He was picking nice shots. The openings were just there for him constantly all night, because Flores kept reaching. I know he was desperate to make amends for those first round knockdowns, which really caught him out, but he was leaping inside, falling short. Cabrera was like, thanks very much. Just keep pinging those hard shots off his head. And Flores has a huge heart, massive balls, but those defensive abilities just leave a lot to be desired. He's a young man soaking up a lot of shots. Cabrera couldn't miss with the straight left hand, and the right hook as well was flying in with ease on the chin. It made for uncomfortable viewing. And I'm going to take issue with the commentary team again. I know I shit on them the other week. I think it was last week or the week before. Andre Ward and Tim Bradley kept saying they wanted to see more from Cabrera, and the judges might be seeing Flores' harder shots. It wasn't even close for me. I don't know what they were seeing, maybe trying to make it a little bit more interesting.
Ward's card was just awful.
I just don't understand. Ward just brings it back to himself all the time. Well, obviously, I didn't lose, but if I had done, I would have done. You know, he's been coming insufferable for me. I'm just fed up with Andre Ward. I'm not going to go into a rant. Didn't like him as a fighter. Don't like him as a
It distorts the reality for you. Like it's basically gaslighting in a way, because you're watching something and they're talking about it, and you're like, wait, did I not see what I just saw? What the fuck are they looking at?
Yeah.
Around.
That's perfect analogy. That's boxing. It's boxing gaslighting. It's back in the day when Barry McGuigan used to tell me that Conrad Cummings was going to be a world champion. And I'm thinking, am I seeing the wrong thing here? Is there something going wrong? Am I being gaslit? I just don't see what Barry's saying here. Exactly. Ward's saying something that you're just not seeing. And Flores, well, he wasn't seeing too much himself. The left eye was sliced up. I thought maybe they'll think about pulling him out. I thought there's no chance they're going to pull him out. This is Steve Schmoger, father in the corner. We saw in the Lopez fight, they're not tetchy. He's not afraid to let his kid take a beating. And afterwards, as I said, I'll finish up now and I'm going on a bit. Flores was busted up, beaten up, 9 points in all 3 cards. He'd taken a lot of shots. I think he needed medical attention. He's only, 21, 22? He's had a hard life. Me and Andy have spoken about this before. Saw his mother killed in front of him. You know, he's a tough kid. He's a nice kid. Why on earth did ESPN go and interview him first? He was nearly in tears. You had a comprehensive winner standing across the ring, leaning against the ropes, waiting to be interviewed, and Osuna goes straight to Flores for some reason. What an odd decision.
It might be because they're taking him for medical attention and they had to get to him first, so they
quite
just get
possibly
him out of the ring. But yeah, they just wanted to. It kind of looks bad. The optics aren't great there. It's almost like, how can we make this kid cry? Let's think. And like, oh man, when as you were getting pummeled around the ring, did you have thoughts about your dead mother? Yeah.
You know what? I would not be surprised if they didn't go there. This is ESPN. After all, Kriegel coming up through the ropes on the side with a mic wouldn't surprise me.
Jesus. The class in this world, Steve, I tell you. Andy, did you catch this fight?
Yeah, mate, I can agree with everything Steve's saying there, actually. It's a bit of a weird one. To me, at least, based off that fight last night and what we've seen off him in his last couple of fights, it's not looking good going forward. Steve says he's 22, 23-year-old, still a kid, still grown, but the punishment he's been taking over the last few fights is a concern. I honestly don't think he's a 135 fighter either. I think he should be trying all he can do to try and make 130 for as long as possible. If he can't do it safely, then I'm sorry. I think you've got to reevaluate the sport. I mean, he's not going to be earning top-end money anytime soon. He's not going to become a world champion. So what's he going to become? A punch bag? Because his head there last night reminded me like a spring when you actually just like ping it back and just let it see it wobble about until it stops. That's what it looked like to me last night. He was just getting pinged all over the place.
Some of those lanky guys just can't take punches sometimes, Andy. It's just one of those things. I always have doubts.
There was a jab that Cabrera threw actually that he pivoted off his lead foot and pung him. He put his full body weight behind this jab and it really caught his attention. She started quick in first few rounds, but obviously dropped him twice. I thought maybe Cabrera maybe just gassed a little bit down the stretch, but I thought he was more than a worthy winner. Yeah, dominated the fight, hurt the guy a number of times. Look at the state of his face, blood, torted. I just think at this point now, and he's playing this kind of like thug life kind of. I don't know if it's legit or whatever, but you see the way he's kind of carrying himself these days. So I don't know if he's maybe got himself mixed with the wrong crowd in the last few years. That who knows? But I think there's a certain evaluation needed there. I think people close to him who care for him need to sit him down and say, listen, this isn't working just now. It's maybe a year, maybe do a Hopkins, go away for the sport for a year, go away and learn on your deficiencies as your person and as a fucking fighter, because you kind of keep going on like that. There's going to come a time where he could be washed. He could be washed after that there last night. Who knows? But the signs aren't great going forward, so I think he needs to be pulled back. And as I say, teach him, change trainers. I don't know what it is, but certainly going forward, it isn't going to help him.
They kept mentioning that he doesn't have the strength, and I kind of feel almost like he should build some muscle mass and go up one. I know that sounds weird. It's kind of the reverse of what I wish Dogboe had done. I think that Dogboe, when he was at 122, should have been looking at coming down to 118. I think he'd be a fucking little machine at 118 pounds. I'm still baffled that he went up a weight class after he looked fully outsized by Navarrete. But that's going back in the card. Donnie, here you have this fight. Couple of guys, more than 20 wins, only one loss between them. They only have 14 knockouts between them two. 10 seconds into the fight, one of them is on their ass. It was definitely a hell of an opener in that one. Kind of surprised that Cabrera didn't get the stoppage. But at times, man, he looked like I there were times in there I thought he kind of looked like a poor man Sergio Martinez. He couldn't quite bend as well. He wasn't quite as fast or accurate, but I got the hands down idea that he was doing in there.
Wait, Matty, are you talking about the undercard?
We're on Cabrera and Flores. Have you not been paying attention?
Yeah, well, if you read my message, I said that I would be back in 5 minutes.
And we've been talking about it for 10 minutes.
Okay, well, I sent a message. I said I'd be back in 5 minutes.
Usually
Then I
couples
just
therapy
came
used to,
back.
by the way.
Then I just came back. I did not see the fight, so you're gonna have to pass me on this one.
How did you miss this fight, Donnie? How?
I don't know. Work.
Steve, with friends like these, man.
I don't want to get involved in this, man. I'm feeling a bit awkward, to be honest. I'm going to stay on mute if you don't mind.
I'm actually googling some therapy phone number for you
Yeah,
guys.
no,
That's on websites.
Here's the thought. Here's the idea, though, that I run into on this, Steve. It's tough seeing where this guy goes with Top Rank. I don't know how the Kambosos Haney contract thing unfolds because that's been connected with the ESPN. But Kambosos was on DAZN when he beat Teofimo Lopez, and Teofimo's one away from Top Rank. So it's very, very confusing, and I have no fucking clue how that's all going to work out in the end. But Cabrera, like, who would want to fight this guy? And I mean, and this is the kind of guy that it's like he could weird out a guy like Haney, don't you think, Steve? I mean, he could do some weird shit in there.
No, I don't think he'll beat. I think Haney he might make it awkward for Haney, but Haney's going to be hard to beat because he's an awkward fighter himself. I think they're fighting again in October, aren't they? Him and Kambosos in a smaller venue in Australia, so that is going ahead.
Yeah, they've kind of lost their hope in him right there, haven't they?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, it's the rematch we don't need to see, but fair play to Haney. As I said before, he made the fight happen by agreeing to these terms, and even though he did the business, he's going back to Australia again, and if that's what it takes to make it happen, then so be it. I don't see it going any differently. As for Cabrera, though, I'm just frantically flying down to the ratings here to see who he's actually rated with. I don't think there was a bauble online, was there, Matty, last night or anything, no?
There was a pardon?
Was there any baubles on the line last night, like any interim, interim or eliminator titles?
I don't think so on that one.
No, I'm looking for him in the rankings. I don't see him, so I don't know which angle they're taking.
Well, who knows though? Look at the titles. Do you know how weird it was for me? I had when at the end of the Gonzalez Dogboe fight, they said "end the new." I'm like, "End the new fucking what?" It was a 10-round fight.
It was some WBO thing, wasn't it? That's what I'm saying. There's always something on the line, but I don't see it. I don't see him in the rankings. I know he's 20-0. I see Gary Cully high up in the rankings, but a quick word on Freddie Roach actually in the corner, giving good advice, Freddie. But I know this isn't news, but he's struggling to get the old sentences out, isn't he? You know, he's still doing a good job, and he speaks very highly of Cabrera and that, but it is worrying to see him in that kind of condition. But I suppose boxing's what he knows and what he loves, so he'll keep wheeling himself out as long as he can.
I've just found something out here, actually. See, that fight was meant to be a WBC eliminator, the Dogboe fight last night, no, a WBO one.
Oh.
But he's never going to get the mandatory shot because that's Ray Vargas.
Can you imagine Vargas jabbing Dogboe from the outside?
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
That's got 120, 108 written all over it.
Yeah, that's what Ray Vargas does. Death taxis and fucking Ray Vargas gone 12 rounds.
Oh, it must have been some kind of WBO bauble, and then him and Gonzalez were the number 1 and number 2, which is strange, isn't it, really, considering they've both been kind of found out at that level to a certain extent. It just goes to show, no wonder, wasn't he thanking the WBO at the end and all? Thanks to the WBO. And that's right, Andy, he had the WBC hat on and the medal and everything, didn't he?
That's
he
right.
was thanking them as well, and I don't know, it depends who you pay, doesn't it, to get you up the rankings? No way, them two boys should be so high up.
The two of them are gatekeepers at this point. I mean, we've mentioned it before, they're not going to be good enough to win world titles. You know, depending on circumstances, obviously, maybe a vacant belt, but that's not happening. They've took the L's. We know where they're. I think as fans, we know where they should be based. I think they're gatekeeper status at this point.
Do you know what they might do? Sorry, Matty. Do you know what they might do? I'm looking down the rankings here, right? Just quickly. Number 4, Robesi Ramirez, also an ESPN fighter. Put Dogboe in with Ramirez. Ramirez beats Dogboe. All of a sudden, Ramirez against Navarrete for top rank.
I'll tell you what.
What's happening with Lara these days? Who's he?
Oh, you may as well forget about him. They're just keeping him on the outside, aren't they?
Yeah, I suppose.
I tell you what, after the way that he just took out Nova, I think Ramirez against Dogboe is just a slaughter.
Yeah, I'd like to see that though.
Maybe depends on how poorly you really think about Ghanaians. What do you have against Ghanaians?
Got nothing in particular, but I'm sure if you give me a minute or two, I'll come up with something.
Yeah. I'm quite fond of Ike Corte. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the bazooka man. I loved him.
Did you think that he beat Vernon Forrest?
can't remember that one. I thought you were going to say De La Hoya, to be honest.
No, that was a great fight. I actually watched that one a couple weeks ago. That was a great fight. Could have gone either way.
I thought De La Hoya just about won, but I liked Corti against Vargas as well. That was a good fight.
Yeah.
Some jab, hadn't he, Ike?
Yeah, it was fun. That man, De La Hoya's legs in that fight were shit, weren't they? Like he just had no bounce in his step whatsoever.
Oscar never ducked anybody though.
No, one of the best resumes in boxing, win, lose, or draw in his fights. It's tremendous. He's just a weird man, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you guys didn't see any of the rest of the fights on that card, did you?
No.
I've seen the heavyweight fight.
Okay.
Not really much you can add to it, though, really, mate. Just that he had his way with the guy that was it Guido Villiane or
Guido Dago Thunder Vianello.
I beat the shit out of that guy. Dropped him a few times, didn't he? He was a decent amateur, fought a few decent names in the amateur, so he's got good schooling, good grounding. I think he's even relocated to America as well, I think, to try and get on with his career. So inactivity is the one that's kind of really killed him. So just need to see him kind of like active, step up in class gradually and see where he goes. But just a wait and see type thing.
Yeah, it's you kind of have to see a lot of these heavyweight contenders or prospects fight each other to clear out the garbage. But I don't know. I'm interested in him.
I'm more interested in the guy Torres than I am in this guy. To be fair.
I'll tell you what I saw in Guido Vianello that worries me though. There's certain times when he throws a right hand, I just feel like I feel like a southpaw would just eat him up. Someone with a real straight left hand. I mean, obviously this version of Ortiz, God knows how old he is, but that kind of left hand from fucking even 5 years ago, like Vianello would be done.
Isn't he the kid who fought in the bubble again and lost to that Kingsley eBay? Or do you remember? Struggled with him.
I think he's undefeated. Nine knockouts, I think, something of that nature.
I must be thinking of somebody else.
Yeah,
he drew with that Kingsley eBay. That's who it was.
Oh, right. And then eBay fought Jared Anderson, I think. Yeah, I tell you what, eBay fairly put it on Vianello. I wasn't that fussed on him that night, but it might have been an off night.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and we'll see how that goes. He was out for 13 months with a hand injury. I know you didn't catch it, anyone else, but there was a middleweight fight on there over 6 rounds. Javier Martinez taking a UD over Pacino Hill. I thought the fight was a lot closer than the cards say. I actually would venture to say that Hill probably won at least 2 of those rounds. But Martinez is a hell of a sharpshooter. Not a whole lot of power. It'll be interesting how they might maneuver him around this weight. Hill, I don't know. It's one of those fights where when you don't know anything about him, you actually come away thinking pretty highly of both of them. So interesting fight between 2 undefeated prospects. Martinez walking away with that O intact. Does anybody have any final thoughts on the card from last night? No. I bet there's questions in here though, Steve, aren't there?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, wow. Well, shit.
I don't think we got any.
Boxing just went. It's just there's nothing on. There's nothing happening to keep anybody's interest.
Man, it's a struggle. That's funny. And then this is the way that Donnie comes on when we don't actually have 3 hours. Well, actually, this is handy.
Thin on the ground for weeks, and next minute everybody's all piling up when there's no fights.
Let's see here. Hey, Donnie, actually, we haven't talked to you in a while. Why don't you tell us what you think since the last time we saw you, which I would say you're talking a month. In boxing, what for you was the best moment or the thing that shocked you the most since the last time we talked to you?
Geez, when was the last time I was on? I'm trying to remember.
Like, I think at least a month ago.
So in the last month?
Yeah, basically all of July. Is there anything in July that you're like, wow, that's something?
Driving a Sherman tank somewhere?
What's that?
You driving a Sherman somewhere?
No. I'm just driving a car.
He's returning some videotapes.
Sounds like a fucking 4-liter V8 you're driving there, mate.
Yeah, well, yeah, I got a big SUV, so. Well, I don't know. Refresh my memory. I mean, what really happened in the last month? I mean, it's like a
hee-haw. Tyson Fury's retired. Allegedly.
Well, that's not real. Next.
What about AJ Usyk coming up, Donnie? The big rematch in a few weeks.
Oh, AJ Usyk. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, The only shot that AJ has is he needs to put it on him in the first few rounds. If he doesn't do that, then Usyk's just gonna school him again. It's a shame that fight's going on in Saudi Arabia, by the way, but I know it, makes sense for the money. But something like that should be happening in Wembley Stadium, and I think AJ would draw something from that if he had 90,000 of his countrymen behind him in the stadium. I think that might actually motivate him a little bit. But
didn't help him the first time, Don.
Pardon?
Didn't help him the first time.
Yeah, I know, but still, I don't know. I think he would draw something from that, and he would be better if it was in the United Kingdom. I don't know if Eddie really cared about him winning rather than making money, then he would have put it in Wembley.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Eddie's going to every church in town and lighting candles hoping that AJ wins this. He's got to make some money off of him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can see him doing it, though. I mean, if he just... Honestly, I mean, I like that new training relationship with Robert Garcia because he's like a Freddie Roach type of trainer. I mean, he's offense first and everything. I think that could actually work out for him.
I think Bomac would have been a better choice personally.
Don't know if he's had enough time with Robert Garcia.
You're breaking up pretty bad, Donnie. Step out and come back for us.
I'll allow him to.
Donnie, you're breaking up really bad. Step out and come back.
You kick him off a call. He can't hear you.
God, thank you, Steve. Donnie, come back. Shut it down and come back. Donnie. Ah, Jesus Christ. Anyways, as far as the fight goes, I'll tell you what's very interesting, Oz, is that currently AJ is less of an underdog with the books than Usyk was at this point against him.
Yeah, I find that quite not bizarre, really, but I think the manner of the way the first fight went, I just don't see another way you can adapt. I don't care who they've brought in. I think the only way... I heard an interview with Fraser Clark on the radio when he was talking about, it's easy for people to say he just needs to go in and maul Usyk. No one's just saying that he needs to go in and try and bully him. But what he needs to go somewhat back to basics from when it was pre-Andy Ruiz, and he'd go out and he'd look to be be authoritative in the ring. Instead, since he knew he could get hurt and badly buzzed, I just think he went somewhat a step backwards. I think that they're trying to change things now just to make things happen. I think it is a good move. I just think Usyk's is kryptonite. We've always said it's a bad style for Joshua. Someone who can move, someone who can box. It's why, the majority of people on this podcast picked Tyson Fury to beat him as well. And this was pre-Fury, from who's redefined his style, to be more of a power puncher. But when he was just, more of a pure boxer, a lot of us were picking him then. And Usyk's the same. I actually think Usyk knows, I don't think he knows what Joshua can do. Basically, what can he do more to beat me? The answer is, for me, not a right lot. Usyk will be better for the first fight that he had with him as well. You've got to remember, he's essentially, forget all the experience, but in the heavyweight division, he was still, he's still not a novice, but what was that, his third fight at heavyweight? Was it Chaz Witherspoon, who was just a late replacement, Derek Chisora, and then Anthony Joshua? Yes, everything's been going on in the Ukraine, still is, but Usyk's not been there now. I think he's left the country. He's long gone out of there, and he's training. Seen some footage of him. He looks in fantastic nick. Looks a bit bigger actually as well, because what will he be doing? He'll be growing into that weight as well. It is a shame it's in Saudi Arabia, but money talks. They're only going to go to one place, and that's where all the dough is. I think Usyk will stop him. And I think that will be absolute hell for DAZN, who've put him on this massive, like, unreal contract. And yes, there's always going to be money to be made somewhat with Anthony Joshua. You know, he's a big star. People will turn out to watch him. I've always said, put a pig in the ring with him and people will pay money to watch it. They don't care who he fights. But at the same time as well, when you're losing at the top level, the Tyson Fury fight then won't be there, I don't think. Who are they going to look at then? Dillian White rematch? There's not much else to go at. Maybe a Joe Joyce, you know, but is that going to happen? It's a huge fight for Joshua. And would I say his career's on the line? Difficult, because I always say, you know, just because you get beat, it doesn't mean that's game over. But I think if he gets badly beaten up and knocked out, I think that could be curtains for him, particularly because it'd be the second time we've seen him suffer a bad knockout as well. The first one I refer to is Ruiz, which was extremely damaging on the basis of the way he was just, he caught high in the first, but then it was just the way he couldn't recover. Usyk is better than Andy Ruiz, and I don't think it will even go as long if he was to drop him early. But it's going to be interesting. They're trying to make things happen. I just think Usyk's his kryptonite, and he won't be able to get over the line.
You could very well be right on that one. But Andy, I'll tell you what. If I'm coaching Anthony Joshua on this one, you know whose tape I'm going to have him check out? Prime Antonio Margarito. Because if I'm watching AJ in that fight, what I'd like to see him do, Andy, is kind of use that Margarito hurting jab that he would kind of use more so than he didn't intend to land it, but he wanted you to move to the right and then follow with that looping right hand, crowd him, uppercut. The classic Margarito, 2004, 2008, before Mosley kind of Margarito. I think that style, that's his best chance to beat Usyk. Your thoughts?
Well, that's pretty much what some folk are saying, really, isn't it? You know, you crowd him, put pressure on him, but I don't think it really matters. You know,
you got to move him into the power, though. You can't let him get outside and get that angle for the left hand. You're trying to collect him into the direction of your right, because if you let him control the left side of your body, you're fucked. That's a fact.
I just really don't think it matters, to be honest with you. I don't think Joshua he's left it too long to get the switch made anyway, put it that way. I just don't think he can make the adaptations. He's a good fighter at what he does, but as Ozzy says, and it's quite like said, I think mentally there's a bit missing there these days. He knows he can get dinged up. If that fight was an extra round, I believe he'd have got stopped in that first fight, because he was ready to go in the 12th round. He was gassed out.
An extra 10 seconds, Andy?
Aye. He was up against the ropes, sagging on the ropes a wee bit, actually. And this is before all the shit kicked off in Ukraine, and I watched some. I know I didn't want to take too much into kind of preview videos and that, but there was a screenshot, the two of them in the ring in Saudi Arabia for the kind of preview, whatever it is that they were doing, and Joshua walks towards him, and Usyk just spins off, starts dancing like Ali, and Joshua couldn't look at him. Joshua looked at the floor. Fucking Usyk staring at him, making faces at him and stuff, and just trying to get in his head. I just think that was telling for me. You know, I just think he's there. He knows he's got one option, and if he can, it's a heavyweight fight. We've seen it before. He lands a shot, he knocks a guy out possibly. But I've never seen.
He has to set it up.
But how? He can't.
That's
He can't
exactly
do it.
it.
Margarito was a volume fighter.
Yes.
Joshua isn't. Joshua can't do that. Joshua can't set him up. What you're talking about is step into the jab, throw the right hand over the top. But Usyk knows that punch, that jab's coming, because his own lead hand is closest to Joshua's lead hand. He's going to block it and parry it, or just slip off to the side. Joshua then needs to learn how to cut off the ring, walk him into the ropes and at the corner. He can't do that either. He's too flat-footed. And then if he starts dancing, he's only good for 6 rounds before the gas goes. And then what happens? Then he's carrying too much muscle. I just think his best option is to sit on the jab and make it really hard for Usyk to try and come in and tag him. He's got to keep the jab pumping all night, 2s and 3s, just straight shots, like he should have done against Ruiz when he was hurt. If he decided to try and bang it out with Ruiz, and what did he do? He got caught every time. McCracken was spot on with his comments in the corner that night. Straight shots, straight shots. He couldn't do it. He couldn't take the instructions. Now, what happens if he starts gassing again? He starts getting dinged up, and he can't take the instructions on for, like, say, Robert Garcia. You know, the way Robert Garcia's talking about, well, we've got size, we've got power. That's great, but you need to learn how to use it. I mean, you've got like probably the most elite fighter in the division that's no Tyson Fury. I'm sorry, there's nothing else you can do with that. You just got to hope that you can get your shots home and something happens for you, and then, you know, an opening, and you've got to take it. But I just think he's really gun shy at this point. He knows Usyk can beat him. He knows Usyk can hurt him. I just think all the pressure's on him at this point as well. And if he gets knocked out, and I don't think I probably would say he retires, actually, because, you know, how do you recover for that? You're not going to get a Tyson Fury fight. You're not going to get a Wilder fight off that either. Dillian White, possibly. That's when you go back to the
Chisora.
Who cares about Chisora?
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't be seeing stuff like that. We don't want to be seeing, you know, the likes of Anthony Joshua fighting Derek Chisora. I mean, you know, if it comes to that case, they should just knock it on the head. I mean, look, the reason they've gone to Saudi Arabia is for money, cash. You're not telling me then if he gets chinned off Usyk and loses in a devastating fashion, he's then coming back what for? Because he's not going to get the rematch again, or it'll be a long way away. The only way I can't see the Tyson Fury fight happening, because if he does get beaten off Usyk, there's no way then Joshua's going to go over to BT and fight, because he's locked into this DAZN deal. So it only leaves the likes of Joe Joyce, Dillian White. But the Joyce fight would be interesting. That'd be something different. But we've seen Dillian White get, you know, chinned off Tyson Fury, badly hurt off the likes of Joe Parker, Oscar Rivas. Joshua would chin Dillian White. I think he's done me, by the way. What really is left for him? Now, if he loses a relatively close fight and shows improvements, you know, maybe, you know, causes Usyk problems, drops him, but still loses, it's the money you can get beat. But I think we're forgetting as well, was it the first or the third round in the first fight? I'm sure Usyk buzzed Joshua big.
And left hand.
And he just didn't put his foot on the gas. And I think he said at the in the post-fight interview, basically, you know, the plan was to not go the distance, but take it to the latter rounds. I think they know they can hurt Joshua. And was Usyk really, you know, looking for that knockout, planting his feet?
They reined him in a bit, didn't they? The Rangers are kind of wee bit, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see a different type of performance, you know, and look, when you bring a new coach in, what is it? Oh, yeah, they've been, I mean, they claim they've been to working together since pre-Christmas. So, yeah, it's time. But at the same time, there's only so much you can do working in the gym. You see fighters improve fight by fight with different people. A prime example would be Andy Lee when he went to Adam Booth. It took them a while to gel before they actually, you know, you saw Lee producing the better performances. I'm not sure, you know, 6 months, you know, we're not talking about, you know, someone coming back at, you know, a fringe world level or European. This is, you know, arguably the best heavyweight in the division, excluding Fury. And they've got a completely new corner, a completely new training camp, you know, in terms of location, base, new voices. I still think he's got too many people there anyway. He needs one lead trainer, not all these Klingons. I'd have had more time for him if he'd have fucked everybody off and just gone to a really basic team. You know, some of what Fury does in a way. You know who is the lead trainer in Fury's corner. Going into that Usyk fight, there was loads of people talking. Rob McCracken was the name lead trainer, but his instructions were just completely being bypassed. And they had that Angel Fernandez, who has now been retained as well and was brought in off the back of the Ruiz fight, the first one where he got beat. And now they've brought in Robert Garcia as well. Again, another voice, somebody who will see, you know, like different styles, tactics. right, this is the game plan. No, I don't want to do that. If you're bringing me in, we're going to go with the game plan that I think will win. And there's all this buzzing around in the background, and he's still got to prepare for what is now the biggest fight of his career. And I know I said about, career's probably not on the line, but actually after discussing it a bit more, I would say it absolutely is. This is a must win. Or if he does get beat, he cannot afford to look bad in it.
People forget as well how, the state he was in after that fight. Just go back to the end of the 12th round, watch him sitting in the corner, sucking in the air.
Yeah.
And he's like demanding a rematch with Usyk, who comes there, who's barely breathing at that time, man. It's just, I just don't think there's any improvements he can make. I think he's maxed out as a fighter. He's maxed out his full potential. That's all you can ask a guy to do. But it comes down to levels at the end of the day, doesn't it?
Mm. You're right. You're spot on. It does come down to levels, and sometimes the man in the opposite corner might just be better than you.
Michael Thompson said, Froch did say it best. If AJ hasn't had a point taken away, he's not working hard enough. Donnie, what do you think?
That's an interesting comment, by the way. And I would also say, just before Donnie comes in, actually, that see if this is a close fight and it goes a distance, I think AJ gets a decision.
Probably.
Yeah, of course he does. Yeah, you know what? He needs to throw caution to the wind. He needs to not worry about low blows. He needs to not worry about rapid punches. He needs to come out and just try to basically, the only thing that AJ has, because he's not more skilled than Usyk. He's not. And we all know that. We've seen that. We've seen that play out over 12 rounds. So the only thing that he can do is that he is bigger, he is stronger, and he's probably the harder puncher. And if he can come out and assert himself early and maybe catch him with something, even if he doesn't knock him necessarily out in the first couple of rounds, but just hit him with something so bad that it makes Usyk so too cautious, and it makes him wary of coming in. If he can do that, then he's got a chance. But otherwise, he's going to get outboxed over 12 rounds, and we've seen this story before. It's already happened. So that's the only chance that he's got. But I actually, though, I don't know. There's some part of me that believes that he can do it. He knows what lies ahead of him. If he does do it, if he can somehow beat this guy, he's got this, mega massive payday, greatest and biggest fight in the history of the United Kingdom against Tyson Fury. If he can do it, I'm sure that, in other words, all of the nefarious forces in boxing, and I'm not saying there's going to be out and out corruption or anything, but I'm just saying, like, everybody in boxing wants this to happen. And if he can just make it happen, I think it'll happen.
The reason why it's interesting. Heavyweight boxing is the ultimate theater of the unknown. It's a different level of unexpected outcomes and stuff just because of the size of the people involved. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. If you do, and you've lean decision or knockout, you can get pretty decent plus money on Usyk. If you can at this point still, because his open odds are minus 200. So yeah, full outcome.
I think it'll be a stoppage. I think it'll be a stoppage, Matty.
Yeah, you should place a bet on it, Steve.
Well, I don't bet, but I agree with something Andy. I'm picking up on something Andy mentioned there. I think they reined him in the first fight. He said as much afterwards. Usyk boxed instructions to a T, and that was to win on points. I think they genuinely reined him in, and if he'd have gone for it a bit earlier, they were close to throwing the towel in. Now, that said, I think AJ did have patches of success in the first fight. He definitely landed shots. Look at Usyk's face at the end. He got marked up by a bigger guy who can definitely punch. Wasn't completely one-sided. And if it goes to 12 rounds, I'll tell you what, if it's remotely close, Usyk better watch out here. Because one of the judges in the first fight had it 115, 113, which was way too close. And they'll do it again. They'll rob him. They won't be afraid. But I think he's getting stopped, AJ. Inside 9 rounds. First few even rounds, AJ putting it on him. Usyk puts his foot on the gas, stops him. It's a money-motivated fight. Eddie's looking for the biggest payday, wants to make the money, and that's all there is to it. Usyk inside 9 rounds. But just before I close out, Matty, I'm going to tell you something quickly here. If anyone wants to know, anyone wants to place a bet and wants a bit of insider information, the doctor himself has left me a voice note with his analysis, and it's dropping tomorrow on a premiere on our channel. You'll see it there about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the evening. So if you want to hear what he has to say, Matty, go and give that a like, give that a subscribe. And here's a little snippet for you of what the doctor's going to be saying, just to whet the appetite.
AJ must let his hands go. He must be busy. He must use combination. AJ must jab, 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 jab. 1, 2, jab, jab consistently, jab, 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 jab. Whenever he's coming, you jab.
That's what I say. He's got to go on the jab.
There you go.
I mean, the doctors are in agreement there. Just keep the jab pumping.
Yeah, that's some sound advice there. And,
wow, 11-4 for the stoppage. Get all over that one.
People are going to be looking forward to this. I think they're going to be as enthusiastic about this drop as people were about Michael Jackson videos in the 80s.
Oh, well, you never know.
Yeah.
We'll see how that ages.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't have other things in common. Amen. Joining us on the call, Rob Kelly. Roberto, ¿cómo está? ¿Cómo está, mi amigo?
Oh, sí, tranquilo.
Hey, the current topic of discussion before we get into your thoughts on recent fights. We were just hopping on the Usyk Joshua discussion. Do you have any leanings on this one? Kind of interesting fact of this is that Joshua's not as big of an underdog as Usyk was with the betting markets at this point in the first fight.
All right, well, first off, how's the sound? Because I have my dodgy AirPods in. Can we hear me okay?
It's a little bit weird. It's kind of squeaky and high-pitched behind you.
Okay, hold on one second.
I think you might be picking up somebody's radio signal.
Hold on, give me 1 sector.
All right. Yeah, I'll tell you, Steve, speaking of this, the Cabrera. Jesus.
All right, I'm back.
All right. You with me, Rob? All right.
Yeah, I'm with your side.
All right. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, Usyk, AJ2, when is that? Next week? Hardly next week.
No, it's like 3 weeks away.
Well, what the fuck are we talking about now?
There was nothing on, and there were literally no questions, Rob. It's painful.
I feel like I've gone over. I feel like this is old ground, but I don't see myself swaying too much from this in the run up to the actual fight. So I said before, I think if they fought 100 times, Usyk would beat him 100 times. I just feel like he has his number. Yes, I think him working with Garcia has been an advantage, and apparently, I'm not some like inside scoop having fucking boxing sleuth or whatever. I just saw this on an interview, but somebody said that he had been working in stealth mode with Garcia behind the scenes a lot longer than it has been, a lot longer prior to it being announced that he'd actually been working with Garcia. So maybe they've fucking, because remember he went on that bit of a kind of whistle stop tour of the US and spoke with Ronnie Shields and a few other trainers, and so maybe that's when they linked up. So from that point of view, that could make it interesting because obviously AJ has the attributes to trouble Usyk. He's a much bigger heavyweight. If he's able to put his hands together, there's a possibility that he could get to Usyk. But I just think second time out, having had a look at him already, Usyk, it's just he's a level above AJ, like, and I'm not taking anything away from AJ. I don't want to sound like one of those fucking Joshua haters or whatever. I've given him pelters over the years, and I thought it was deserved from the way Eddie was marketing him. But as a fighter, he's decent, but he's just not on Usyk's level. And I think he'd be hitting fresh air for a lot of the night. Yeah, typical doctor recommending the jabs for everyone, jabs for the boys. But saying that and doing it is two different things, because you have to get into rhythm against Usyk to establish a jab. It's not a case of just fucking putting your hand out and leaving it out there. Plus, AJ leaves himself vulnerable. He's very prone to dropping that hand back down around the side, and he gets caught. So he's hittable, AJ, as well. He's hittable. He always has been. Usyk's not a massive puncher for a heavyweight, but he still had him in trouble. So I just think it's going to be a combination of gas tank, frequency of getting caught, getting hit with shots that he doesn't necessarily see. And I see stoppage on the over 6 rounds. I think AJ's going to get in. He tends to drown after 6 rounds. You always see that in him, like the air goes out of his lungs. Maybe it's the big back with the lactic acid. I don't know what it is, but he's never seemed to have a gas tank to be able to go a full 12 rounds. And I think that's the way he fought in the first fight, trying to conserve energy because he knew he was going to blow a gasket. So I think that's what, like, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, why didn't he jump on Usyk? Why didn't he do this?" Well, he doesn't have it in it to kind of gamble in the early stages of the fight, because he leaves himself exposed down the line. Like, so, I just, whatever way you slice and dice it, I just see an Usyk victory.
Well, and that concern, causing you to fight a certain way like that because you worry about your tank. I mean, that adds a whole degree of nervous energy too, and nervous energy burns your tank more.
Well, imagine how Floyd must feel. He's worried about his tank as well, isn't he? So.
Oh man. And I'll tell you what, Rob. Interesting developments this week considering the card. I want you to picture. I want you to picture a foot race, and it's along the beach, and Steve is out ahead, and oh no, here comes you, slowly passing him, and now here you are in front, and the soundtrack goes da 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 da. Da, 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 da. You're now a point ahead in the lead. You are now a point ahead.
Obviously, the league means everything. I never fucking said a bad word about the prediction league. It's fucking. I've been saying all along. It's the only fucking yardstick there is to measure true boxing knowledge on this podcast. Obviously, I'm fucking number one on it. Like, I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. But no disrespect to Wellings. I'd fancy myself beat Wellings in a race. Like, I'm not saying I'm fucking Carl Lewis, but I think I would beat Steve in a race. Like, foot race along the beach, like Apollo Creed and Rocky, and the two of us jump in the fucking sea afterwards and start hugging. I'm not bad at races, actually. By the way, short distance ones I'm pretty good at. Like, I have that kind of, because I'm a bit of a primo carnero, and in terms of I'm a bit of an ambling ape. Like, I don't look quick. Well, so I'm deceptively fast over 100 yards. I'm after winning a lot of bets over the years by calling fellas bluffs when they call me slow coach. So there's something interesting for the listeners there for fucking Saturday night on a slow, or a Sunday night on a slow night. Anybody wants it? I'm the can man. Turn up. You never know. Any fucking Twitter trolls want to race me or anything, make sure to turn up.
The bus down from Sheffield.
The thing is, Rob, if you know the back alleys and the side streets, you don't need to be able to run long distances. You just need to be able to cut a good corner and hide, and unfortunately, when we were more younger, svelter, much easier to hide in an alleyway from people who might be trying to run us down than it is today.
Yeah, it's not. It's a real life, Matty. It's not fucking Grand Theft Auto, man. Relax.
You really don't. You've never had those exciting experiences in your life.
Oh, look. You can run, but you can't hide. Who said that? The great Joe Lewis. Anyway, that was a good segue for you. Any boxing going on? No.
So what did you think? Did you catch the Top Rank card?
Of course I fucking didn't catch the Top Rank card. Give me
That's
a break.
the only thing to watch, and it was actually good.
Joet and Dogboe. What was the fight like in the end?
It was a good fight.
50-50 fight. Yeah, I'll give you that one. Give you that.
Yeah, so actually in the odds, man, it was Gonzalez was a pretty heavy favorite.
Really?
Yeah. So that was a little bit of a surprise there as far as the books went. I thought that Gonzalez nipped it. I think Steve is the only one that didn't think that Gonzalez nipped it out of the panel, because all five of us did our homework, Rob.
Well, don't fucking put me in that equation. I'm not doing my homework. God, I don't know. No, I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I'm like that listener who pops up in the YouTube comments to say, "Look, lads, I don't watch boxing, but I love listening to the podcast."
There's a couple like that, Holt and DJ Keita.
Yeah, I know. Things are hectic for me at the moment. I just haven't got a chance to see it, but I'm sure I'll go back and watch that now. An Isaac Dogboe fight, definitely. It's on the fucking hit list.
It's definitely catch that. Well, so much for killing that extra 5 minutes there, Steve. Can't say I didn't try.
Actually, seeing if you need to kill 5 minutes, I saw on Ebony Bridges' coffee table, she had a load of boxing magazines spread out on it, didn't she? Because she was giving Ricky Hatton some compliment, but she had carefully placed all these boxing magazines on the table, like in all horizontally and everything. And one of them was a Ring magazine cover, and it said "Fantasy Fight Matchup: Who Wins? 135 Duran versus Sweet Pea Whitaker." Now, there's a fucking fight. What about that?
That is a hell of a good fight, because Sweet Pea's legs at 135 were fucking exceptional.
Big problems for Duran in that one. Like, he hated chasing the type of fighters. See, like, say, what was the one that dropped him? Gave his first L. Oh, De Jesus. He was a bit of a mover.
Esteban de Jesus, yeah.
Yep, Esteban de Jesus. And there was another one. Is it Edwin Verut? I think the Verut brothers back in the day. I think he fought both of them. They were movers as well.
Kirkland Lang.
Yep, and obviously then Leonard gave him a bit of a hassle in the fucking second fight, didn't they?
What was the weight that
135.
Yeah, but what was the weight that Whitaker fought at when he had to come back against Hurtado? Was that 140?
40, I think, wasn't it?
147. 147.
Was it 47, yeah?
Yeah, because it was to fight Oscar for his welterweight title.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, you're right.
That was the one where they punched Hurtado through the ropes, wasn't it?
That fight went like 10 seconds longer than it needed to.
Yeah, 135 was way below, like when he, like, this is way before like Pernell Whitaker was on cocaine. So I'd have to take Whitaker in that one. I mean, that was his prime right there.
It was also Duran's prime as well.
Well, yeah, I know it was, but yeah, it would be a great fight. For sure. That's a great question.
15 round, need about a 15 rounder.
That
Duran's era, isn't it?
Did Sweet Pea ever fight in a 15-round fight? I don't think he did. He
No,
got robbed
I
in
think-
France in a 12-rounder.
I think the 15 rounders with a when did Sweet Pea? When was his Olympics again? 84. I think 84 it was, eh?
Yeah, and then
By the late 80s, I think the 15 rounders got phased out. I think.
Yeah, because
it was like
Kali
88.
was 15.
Aye. When was Hagler Hearns? No, sorry, Leonard Hagler again. That was
87.
87.
87.
Was
Yeah.
15 rounders were still on the go then, and that was part of the negotiation that Leonard wanted a 12 rounder rather than a 15 rounder. Then Belt started getting stripped left, right, and centre because they wouldn't sanction a 12 rounder for a world title.
I think the question at the end of the day is whether or not Duran can knock him out.
Yeah, it's a hard one for me. I'm down the middle on it because like prime for prime, they're probably the two best ever. But people say Benny Leonard, like, well, I can't offer any opinion on that. But so I haven't seen Leonard, and like it's split down the middle for me. I think like Whitaker would have been capable of beating him, but maybe Duran on the night with a clash of styles, one of them fucking just wants it more than the other one. Like, don't know, anything could happen. You know what I mean? And especially over 15 rounds, you don't know. Like,
Duran
you think Duran could do 15 rounds? Like, yeah, that's another one. It's its own, but it would have been what a fucking fight. And it's a fight I've never really even thought about, contemplated it before. Like, but it would have been some contest.
Oz, what are your thoughts on this one?
I would think about. Sorry, mate. On you go. I was just going to think about the Chavez fight against Whitaker. One of the easiest fights to score, and they still got the fucking decision wrong. One of the worst cards you'll ever see.
I have never regretted not sticking around at a place more than missing Tommy telling Sweet Pea that he thought that he lost to Chavez.
That was the robbery of all robberies. That
It
wasn't
was.
it? Don King
Disgusting.
right in the middle of it again, the wanker.
Disgusting.
Oz, did you have any thoughts on this fight?
I missed everything, mate. I've been up and down, so yeah, I haven't a clue what you've been about.
Dream fight between Pernell Whitaker and Roberto Duran.
Ooh. Tough. Very tough. And I haven't got a clue what everybody said either, so I'd probably go... Got to go Sweet Pea, haven't you? I would say.
I think for me, is it over 15 or 12? Like Whitaker never being in a 15-round fight. I guess that being a complete unknown, you have to say 12 just to say that you have some sort of apples to apples comparison.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think it's tough. I think it's one of those fights where it's an honest 50-50, and I think like wherever you lean like from a sentimental standpoint is where you're going to go. I also lean Whitaker. I see why Andy would probably go Duran.
I haven't picked anybody yet, to be fair.
Yeah, but you're probably going to say Duran. What? Go ahead. Shock me.
Well, as I'm saying, I just gave you reasons as to why he could lose. So I'm not saying that he would win. I'm not saying he would lose either. But I'm just saying that it's a fight. It would just, again, I agree with what Rob was saying. It could come down to on the night. Duran at times hated training. He hated to make weight. Some of the things that Sweet Pea got away with his leg movement that he wouldn't get away with. Like, for example, ducking too low, way below waist height. Sorry, I've seen Tyson get called up for that as well back in his prime days. 15 rounders. Again, just things like that. Would if Whittaker was tagged, would he take the Duran power up against the ropes? Would he take the body assaults? Who knows? I just think it's one of the fights that you could get 100 folk and you probably get 50 saying Whittaker and 50 saying Duran. That's how good, how close this fight would be. I think, in my opinion, I think it's a distance fight, and I think it would come down to, in the end, a few points. That would be it. I'm not going to pick a winner, to be honest with you, but I would not rule out both guys.
I think Kaiser Koba is kind of right. He says, how likely is the draw over 12? Whittaker and Duran both winning 6. I think that fight, if it doesn't end by stoppage, could easily go a draw. Don't you get the feeling that Whittaker would probably win 4 out of the first 5 rounds?
Well, again, that would depend on how fresh Duran starts. If he comes out winging, ready to go to war, I think those first 4 or 5 rounds, 6 rounds are generally competitive. Again, it comes down to what you fancy. I think it would also come down to a fight what you fancy. You could probably see Whittaker having to do a lot of his work off the back foot. Duran doing a lot of it on the front. And doing it what the judges like. A lot of guys, especially American judges anyway, they always seem to kind of go with the aggressor rather than the pure boxer.
Sometimes. Anyone else have thoughts on this before we move on? Oh, all righty then. So, next week's action going to be Channel 5. Oz, I know that you're pumped about this one. You got Pat McCormick in only a second professional fight, the Olympic medalist, going in against 8-1 Dimitri Tremel. Harlem Eubank also making an appearance on the card, and Josh Kelly in an eliminator at 154 against Lucas Bastida. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
Sorry, which card is this?
Channel 5 this Saturday.
Oh right, fucking hell! I'm looking at the Billam Smith thingy one actually.
Yeah, that's
just let me.
Yeah, the Billam Smith.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, I didn't even know. Well, it's on Friday night.
Oh, it's Friday. Okay, yeah, they're doing a killer job promoting.
BoxRec is the biggest pain in the arse going now. You can't find anything properly. Like, you can't click on a file. You know where it used to bring up the show? You can't do that anymore. You've got to go through date order.
Yeah,
Saturday
night.
Yeah,
so it's Saturday, right? Let me just try and find the card.
We were talking about BoxRec changing before the show. We're all very disappointed. If the BoxRec people are listening, go back to the old way. Back to the old way.
Anybody got any clout, get back to the mic, because it's just no user friendly at all. Like, I mean, as I say, if you try to use it on your phone these days, it's a complete nightmare.
Oh, but this is what I'm trying to do now, to load the what's it called on. Oh, I remember this Kelly fight being announced actually.
Bastida, Argentinian, he could be anything.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, the card itself is pretty average again. We spoke previously about the show that Sauerland's put on in Liverpool, and it was absolutely atrocious. It was terrible.
Can I get a spicy, cheesy double beef burrito?
This is the state to him.
I should have
walking at McDonald's.
I should leave him. No, he's at a Taco Bell.
I should have
left him on
for the
I was
kids.
going to say, what the hell did he just say? Then he's randomly butted in with a food order.
Spicy burritos with Ozzy, man. He's on the spicy burritos.
He's so terrible at muting.
So yeah, sorry, back to what I was saying. Well, I've got to say, Donny's order's more interesting than this card anyway. Best fight on the show is Eubank against Tom Farrell.
Fuck you guys.
I get on well with Tom. It's a big ask for him. I think Eubank has. When he came onto the floor, he had that a run under Adam Booth where he was on Sky constantly. And I think they were pushing him a bit too far. And I actually thought he got beat off. I think it was a Moroccan on the Monaco card, a Matchroom one, and he got very fortunate. Anyway, he went away off TV. And he's massively developed since. He looks really talented, and every performance. I'm not saying it's a must-watch, but he's very, he's good to watch and he's exciting to watch as well, and his power's starting to develop. Tom was obviously last seen on telly in the boxer, like the prize fighter type of thing, and did well. Unlucky not to pip it in the final, really. So Farrell's got experience. He's not the hardest of punchers, but he has got skills as well. But if I was picking a winner, I probably would side with Eubank, but I'd love to see Tom do it from a personal perspective. Aside from everything else, like I said, I mean, the rest of it's just shit. I mean, Josh Kelly, what is the point of this guy now? They were bigged him up as this huge superstar. He got chinned off Avanesian, and then since then, he fought that Peter Kramer last time out. It was garbage. And then, he's fighting this Lucas Bryan Ariel Bastida now, who, again, is just seemingly a tough Argentinian, but he's being brought over ultimately to lose. And that's what he's doing. Kelly should have enough to beat him, but who knows where he is at? Is he at the right weight? He hasn't got a dig, but his skill should be enough to see him through. The other two ones are poor. Jose Stewart against, pretty sure, I can't even remember. Oh, it's a 2 unbeaten guys, 2-0, 4-0. Again, yeah, fine. Not much to say on it. And that Pat McCormack in his second fight, and then they've got that Geordie Shaw star-turn boxer on the undercard as well. So again, I've said before, if Mick Hennessy's lost dates to fucking Wasserman to put him on Channel 5, what are Channel 5 doing? Because Mick actually put some decent shows on. They weren't at massive arenas. They were in places like Coventry and stuff, but there was a good atmosphere. I think he had Fight of the Year on Channel 5 with Sam Eggington, and now we're seeing crap like this from Wasserman. So again, yeah, the schedule is sparse at the moment, and when the shows do pop up in the UK, we're seeing stuff like this. It's just not good enough.
It is oftentimes not good enough. Well, Steve, maybe the card on Sky will be good enough for Oz. Chris Billiam-Smith versus Isaac Chamberlain. Joe Pigford versus someone. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Okay. It might be good enough, this one. Old AB about Billiams, Chris Billiam-Smith. I thought he was a zone fighter, but apparently not. There's some kind of contractual issues. So Boxer picked him up. It's interesting he's rocked up on Sky. I've made my feelings known on Isaac Chamberlain before. I think he's always been somebody I felt had the potential to do something, but for whatever reason, he's not quite made it. I presume he's still with Mick Hennessy. I agree with everything Ozzy says about Fat Mick. Big Fat Mick fan myself. I wonder if Mick is doing bits with Sky now. I know Hughie Fury and Sam Eggington have both crossed over to Boxer, and Mick seems to have gone with them. He's sitting at ringside. His portly presence was there in Coventry. Stevie McKenna's on this show as well, who's been doing a lot of work with Mick on Channel 5. So that's a good link-up for Ben Shalom, if indeed it can be sustained, and Hennessy is kind of doing a little bit on Sky. I'm happy enough with that. I think it's odd that Matchroom never took Billiam-Smith to Bournemouth, but now Ben's going there straight away. We had a question the other week. I can't remember who asked it now, but they were saying, should we go back to leisure centres and small hall venues? And I wonder if Sky might start tapping back into that. Do these kind of shows now, rather than having quarter-full arenas, just go to these Bournemouth Hall or whatever it is, Coventry the other week, the Sky Dome. Yeah, actually on Bournemouth, Matty, I was thinking of some of the old fighters from the South Coast. Tony Hokey Cokey Oki from Portsmouth. Do you remember him, Matty? Light heavyweight from back in the day.
No, I do not remember him, Steve.
WBU champion. Those were the Sky days. Matthew Barney from Southampton. Shame Des isn't in the chat. I'm sure he'll remember him. Tell you what, go back and watch a Matthew Barney fight, or second thoughts, don't. He was some spoiler. You think Lawrence Okoli's bad? You think he's bad for grabbing, holding, spoiling, smothering? Go back and check out some more Matthew Barney fights. You'll see a completely different animal. Anyway, I think this is a distance fight. Billiam-Smith on points would be my pick if you put a gun to my head. If Chamberlain were to win this, I think it would jumpstart his career, because he's barely had a fight in the last year. Well, I mean, he's fought once a year for the past 4 years. He needs something to badly recharge him, but I don't think this will be it. I'm going for Billiam-Smith at home on points, 12 rounds.
Oh, Steve throwing out his pick before he has to, because he's no longer the leader, as we just said earlier. That's Rob. Speaking of the chat briefly, though, I'd like to thank some people being in there. We got Josh Ford hopping in here recently. Also, Sad Ken, Matthew Butters, Mark Stanton, Yimmy Yappy, Alex Bellotti, Mark Wharton, Big A, Jim McDonald Boxing, Cal Cheds, Harvey Price Boxing Returns, Adam Hughes, Arlene Burley, Frightening, Chris Butler, Jason Chahal, Kaiser Koba, Ben Russell, Take Ames, Johnny, Holy Crap Nelson, Boxing Channel, Deech. Thank you, everybody, for being in there. Do appreciate you, as well as Dez.
Yes, yes, Matty. Quick update from Des. He is indeed there. He says Barney was unreal, big, strong, and tough in the gym. Became a greyhound under the lights. So there you are. Des does indeed remember Matthew Barney, the legend.
There you go, man. It's tough being a greyhound. They don't treat those dogs very well, Steve. Hopefully, they treated him better than they treat the dogs.
Well, hopefully so. Down on the south coast. Did you mention Josh Kelly? That was that's the Channel 5 card, isn't it? The night before, I think. Was that what Ozzy was saying about?
Yeah, we did mention that card.
Can I just say quickly? I was hoping that they would make the Troy Williamson fight. I thought that would be a nice little northeast fight. And Kelly's last opponent, Peter Kramer, Ozzy said it as well. Absolute crap, but at least they're getting him back out again. Nice activity levels against Mr. Bastida. Never fought outside of Argentina. Another knock on the Sauerlands for me. They're useless in my opinion. They can go on about this Wasserman money, but they need to pull something big out the bag. WBSS is in the memory now. Not interested in this shit. Ames says that Fowles pulled out the Eubank fight, which is a shame. I was looking forward to that. I think it would have been fun as long as it had lasted. And Eubank would have got the stoppage, but I don't know who they're going to put him in against now. Opponents are not their strong suit. And also, big news, Matty, on that Aaron Chalmers with the big tattoo. I actually spotted someone a couple of weeks ago in Belfast who had a similar tattoo job done. Green, all up the arms. This could be a thing. This could be catching on, Matt.
Sure it wasn't. Mick Conlon is handling him, isn't he? No, Mick Conlon is really behind that guy. Mick Conlon is in his corner, I think. Or he's training him anyway. Like he's calling himself Irish Aaron Chalmers. Maybe it was him.
Not sure. You know what? Rob might have hit on something here. I was at the car wash and there was a fella. It wasn't as bad as Chalmers now, but it was all up the arm, all the way up to the neck. And I thought, oh no, this is catching on, man. It's just like that fella. So there you go.
There you go. The weird tattoos continue in the world. A world where people with facial tattoos aren't always frightening now. A much different world than that we grew up in. Speaking of people from a world in which we grew up in, Rob, leader in the clubhouse, Chris Williams-Smith, Isaac Chamberlain, give me your picks.
I think Chamberlain can nick it. I think Chamberlain can nick it. So do I risk my fucking position, the coveted number one position, by going with the bold pick? I think Williams-Smith's trajectory at the moment is probably making him the favourite. Did the job on Tommy in the second fight. First one was close, but he seems to have gone up a level. Doing good stuff there with McGuigan, and I think matchmaking him. He's gone off Matchroom, isn't he? I saw it. He thought making a statement about him, like saying that certain fighters can't get paid that money. Like so, maybe he's defending that fighters are leaving him or whatever. But Williams-Smith's obviously. He's going for broke, like, isn't he? So he sees an opportunity. He's going to continue the run he's on. He's got some direction with his career, whereas Chamberlain, as Steve said, is pissing about with it for the last 4 years. Like, obviously, the 2 years of the pandemic fucking upset everybody, but still other fighters were active. Like, and he hasn't managed to kind of cross over the way we thought he was going to. Like, I thought Chamberlain would have been a kind of a Sky darling by now, like a bit of a fucking, a UK household name, but it just hasn't worked out. And I'd say Williams-Smith with a couple more fights has the potential to be a bigger draw than he currently is. So I'm going to say Williams-Smith, probably decision. But I don't think he'll knock out Chamberlain. I think he'll probably get the nod on the card. But he's a fighter, I think, on another day, like Chamberlain would have a chance of beating. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if Chamberlain still pops up with a result here.
Are you hitchhiking?
I'm on the run.
Anyhow, let's see here. Andy, what are your thoughts on this fight and your pick?
Well, admit, I think it could be a bit of a horrible fight. I think both are kind of prone to kind of doing a bit of kind of grappling on the inside, but I'll probably go with Billum Smith winning on points as well. To be honest with you, I don't think Chamberlain's really had the activity levels over the last few years and that as well. I think that's the one thing that Billum Smith had as well. I think he's had a few hardish fights at that level, Commonwealth, European type level fighters and that. So I'm going to go Billum Smith on points. Probably a split actually, to be honest with you. I think it will be one horrible fight to be honest with you.
Interesting. It's a not that wide of a fight with the books. William Smith is less than -200. I think you're probably having to pay about freaking 18 to make 10, give or take. Man, just so I don't have to pick something else for this fucking thing, I'm split it up a little bit here. I'm going to go with William Smith, but I'm going to go with him by stoppage. I think these big lumbering fools will hit each other enough times, and one of them is going to tumble. Oz, I tell you what, if it were not for attendance, I don't think that Steve and Rob would be on top of this league. But why don't you throw us your picks in here for William Smith and Chamberlain?
I'll probably go with siding with a lot of people, Billum Smith on points. I did wonder if, he'd maybe have a bit too much and overwhelm Chamberlain, but what I have seen is that, he's not got a bad gas tank. And I think that's where, Billum Smith can overwhelm people, similar to what he did in the Tommy McCarthy fight. I think he was just a bit too active for him. I see this fight with Chamberlain playing out. I think it'd be quite one-sided. There's no way Shane McGuigan will take the risk of moving Billum Smith to boxer headline and then take a fight from where the risk doesn't, outweigh the reward. And I think that confident in this. It'd be interesting to see what McGuigan says during the week. But I'll go on points, but a stoppage really wouldn't surprise me late on. Purely on the fact that Chamberlain, I don't know what he does. He's fairly, relatively, hit and miss, bit bland. Did sign with Hennessy as well, and then Hennessy lost that deal. It's a good fight. It's a genuine 50-50 as such. Worthy of the titles on the line, European title. I think there's a Commonwealth as well. So yeah, good fight. Ones you want to see. I think it's good that they've gone to Bournemouth with him straight away, rather than just try and build him up, go there. Billum Smith's been wanting that big fight in Bournemouth. Hearn said the only way they could go to Bournemouth if it's going to be like a final eliminator for a world title or a world title. But at the end of the day, if you've got somebody who sells in their hometown, it doesn't matter really who it's against when they're at the level of Billum Smith. And they've picked a good fight there from where it's a domestic clash. They had him at the football ground at the weekend for a pre-season friendly, just maybe to push the last few bits and pieces out. It's not a massive arena, 6,000. But what would you rather see? 5,500, 6,000 sold out, or 6,000 in a curtained off O2? But being at the O2 sounds fancy. I know what I'd rather watch, and that's a smaller arena but almost sold out. The rest of the card is again a bit hit and miss. Disappointed not to see Pigford have a named opponent. I'm not sure if
you're high on his potential, aren't you? I know that you've mentioned him in the past, and it's just long drawn out nothingness in his career, like decade.
Yeah, exactly. Look, he's clearly got power, and Frank Warren persisted with him for a while. Now I rate Pigford off what I've seen, but as well, Warren's got a really good eye for a fighter. We know that, from picking him off, from turning over his amateur, he spots something good. But in the end of the day, I think he just came to the end of his tether because Pigford was so inconsistent about getting injured or he had problems outside the ring. There's only so much you can do. Ryan Garner is a similar one, and he seems to have turned the corner and he's now getting active again. But it's good. I would like to see Pigford in a step up. If not this time, it's got to be next time, because otherwise you can't keep building this record of just banging out nobodies. You've got to step up sooner rather than later. I don't know much about Greg O'Neill, Ben Whittaker's opponent, who's on debut. I don't know anything about Happy Dowdy, who is Caroline Dubois' opponent. But one fight that is very good on the undercard is John Doherty against Diego Costa. Now, Diego Costa was involved in one of the best small law fights I saw. I'm pretty sure there was about 5 knockdowns in the fight. I forget who it was against. It was on, I'm sure it was either a Black Flash or a Steve Wood show. It was quality. It might well have been against actually someone like Craig Bunn or Greg O'Neill or something like that. But yeah, they were both dropped. Yeah, it was, yeah. Greg O'Neill, Costa down twice, O'Neill down 3 times. One thing Costa can do, he really can crack. The last time we saw, John Doherty, I think, probably rushed into a little bit when he boxed Jack Cullen on that fight camp stuff. So he was, he was a bit, somewhat, maybe just a bit green for going into that fight. He's come back and boxed absolute nobody since. And this is essentially his big step up on the comeback. I would favour Doherty just solely on his pedigree from the amateur side. And one early defeat in your career doesn't make you a bad fighter. But Costa presents a problem in the sense that he can bang hard. And if he catches Doherty, he's got the power to basically to wipe him out. So it's going to be interesting to see. I would like to see some prices on it, because I think if you can get Costa, relatively unknown from a bookie's perspective, if you can get him above, like 4-1, 5-1 on the outrights, it's worth a small bet for some purely on the basis that his power is, more than legit. I'm not saying it's like world level power, but we're talking like an English level type of fight, and he can more than crack at that. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'd favour Doherty, but I'm going to look at it from a price perspective because there could be some value there.
Just FYI, by the way, John Doherty holds the win over Ben Whittaker in the amateurs. So it could be a potential.
Right, interesting. That could be. Well, no, I was going to say, what weight is Doherty at now? Because he turned over. Light heavy. Did he turn over at super middleweight then? Is that what it was? Yeah, and then they put him up to. Well, that's saying that. I'm not sure what Costa is. I thought he was a middleweight, but. They jump around. It's, to be honest, there's no belt on the line, so it's probably going to be like a catch weight, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no, it's a good fight, really good. I hope it's still on, by the way. Otherwise, I've just spent probably 3 minutes talking about something that's not going to happen. But no, overall, good little scrap. And these are the fights that, I always say, you can pad out undercards nicely. We don't need big, like international fights. If the good, solid 60-40s, 70-30s, 50-50s, people will sit and watch them because 9 times out of 10, they'll be entertaining. If the styles don't gel and it turns into a bit of a stinker, that can happen. But on paper, this should be a good fight. And we need to see more of it from promoters because they're not expensive to put on. There's no sanctioning fees involved there either, like these bauble belts that are going on the line. It's just 2 fighters looking to make a name for himself on Sky. Same with BT, who can do this. DAZN can do this as well. And we've got to see more of it. I always say central area level fights are some of the best I've seen. It's because you've got 2 lads going in 7-0, 8-1, and they give it their all. They might not be the most talented, but that belt can mean everything to them. And it's not surprising that you see some of the best entertaining fights because you've got 2 lads who care, rather than Josh Kelly against Peter Kramer on an undercard. And let's have it right. Who gives a toss?
All right. Good breakdown from Oz there. Before we move forward, Donnie, your thoughts on British affairs and or fast food burritos. Go.
Wait, did you guys hear me ordering a burrito?
Was it good?
Yes, we heard you ordering a burrito.
Spicy burrito you asked for. Did you get some cookies for your kids, mate, as well? Chocolate chip ones.
That's what I thought of too, Andy.
What about Porky Russ here?
Yeah, and also, did you get a receipt for it as well, for your expenses? You had it to the wife so she can give you some money back,
It was the double beef, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was one of those ones off the value menu, yeah.
Right on. So, anyways.
I have not yet shat myself, although that may be in the cards.
Jesus. Anyhow,
What's your weight on it at the moment?
Once he shits it out, he will drop about a stone at least.
Wait, what are my thoughts on what?
The burrito.
The British fights we just discussed, or your burrito.
Well, the Smith fight, I think he'll win probably by decision. Although I could also see the stoppage. I'm kind of with Matty there.
I tell you what, I bet you must be a nightmare in court, by the way. I bet you ask for questions to be repeated all the time. You fucking forget everything that gets said to you.
No, I'm on target for that. I mean, I'm only at 50% for you assholes.
Well, he has a burrito to think about. He can't fucking give us all his time, for fuck's sake.
And then what was the other question?
That was it.
Oh, that was pretty much it. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right.
I'm kind of a casual these days. I'm kind of an Adam Smith right now. Yeah.
Remind me to cut this bit during the week as an independent video, Andy.
Yeah, mate. I think it'll do great numbers. In fact, mate, you could maybe hand it to the clinics as well. Maybe cure a bit of insomnia along the lines of maybe Chuck might stay awake for a change. You never know.
You're popping up on those YouTube ads. Do you have trouble going to sleep at night? Donnie, don't worry about being a casual, man. I'm winning the prediction league, and I don't even know who these other fellas are that are fighting. It's fucking unbelievable. Don't worry about it.
Rob, go somewhere and fix your sound.
Rob Kelly sounds like Count Dracula.
No, Rob Kelly sounds like he's reporting from Kosovo in 1996.
A lot of similarities between Wexford and Kosovo, of course. Twin cities.
Bill Clinton coming after him next, Matty.
Which is funny. So Tom Schwartz, that fight is this weekend, and they're fighting in I think it's called the Bill Clinton Coliseum. They fucking love Bill Clinton.
That's right. Them fuckers over there the Clintons built loads of stuff in Kosovo and Serbia, didn't they? Apparently, loads of money going in and out.
Yeah.
Don't even mention Haiti. Otherwise, we'll get banned.
How did he manage to fly over there, I wonder?
Better leave this one alone, man.
I know. Open up
Look,
that
I
can of worms.
I just want to say one thing. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
That's not bad.
Pretty good.
That's not bad. Yeah, that really isn't that bad.
Let's spice it up a bit. I was in the shop today with my little one, and there was a picture. There was a magazine stand there, and there was a picture of front cover with Katie Taylor on. So she tapped me on the shoulder and she went, "Dad, Katie Taylor."
That child, she's going to know what a good impression is. At least she'll have that going for her. I worry if you ever run into Katie Taylor, though, Rob. I truly do. But that's another story for another day.
I mean, yeah, I take my chances with Sonny Edwards, but Katie Taylor, fuck that.
Oh, man. So moving over to our side of the pond, to the U.S., we have a card on Showtime. We'll get to the main event shortly, but I'll tell you, folks, some people, when they lay at bed at night, they think about beautiful women, or they think about the life they'd have if they'd have millions of dollars, or maybe they just think about a better world. But Andy Patterson, when he lays down at night, sees nothing except Francis Barthélemy splattered across the ring. And he's going in against Gary Antoine Russell on Saturday night. And that just might happen. You never know. Russell, good puncher, might have been a bit of a quick stoppage in his last fight against Postol. But I'll tell you what, if there's somebody that might be able to splatter Barthélemy, Andy, this is the guy. Are you pumped? Are you excited? Are you ready? Did Andy leave to go take a whiz?
Yeah, Andy's be right back.
Steve, are you pumped? Are you excited?
I just realised Francis Barthélemy's nickname is Kid Blast. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, Matty. But yeah, I don't think Francis Barthélemy is a fighter that we're getting up for anytime soon. Rancid Barthélemy, as Andy would call him, going in against Russell. What was the last fight you said there? Premature stoppage. Who did he fight last time?
Postol.
Postol. Oh yeah.
Last round stoppage, and I'm like, man,
Okay.
Postol could have
Yeah.
made it the last minute. It was stupid, I thought.
Yeah, it was a 10th round stoppage. Yeah, I seem to remember that. The referee could have let him go on, but they seem to think he had Ukraine on his mind and all this, and he gave him a good workout. It was a good fight for 15 with Russell, kept the knockout streak going. I like the look of him. I think he's an aggressive puncher. I think that he's going to have his work cut out trying to get rid of Rancid. I'm a PBC fanboy, as you know, fan of Al Heyman. Don't know why they're bringing back Bartholomew. Hopefully Russell will get rid of him, and that's the last we'll see of him. Him and Kovnachi are on the TV portion, and then Garcia's the main event. But yeah, hopefully Russell will get the stoppage in this one, Matty.
Yes, I think we're all looking forward to that possibility. Donnie further down or further up that card and chief support of the main event, Adam Kaunowski against Ali Demirzin. I seem to recall Demirzin having a good fight against F.A. Ajagba, if I recall. Deep amateur background, Kaunowski coming off those defeats to Hellenius. Is he looking at another loss on his resume, and will this end the Kaunowski train for good?
Geez, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I can see this one going either way. That's probably why they made this fight. In other words, there's two guys who, promotionally could go up or go down, and so they just decided to put them in a trade fight and just to probably, ride the winner towards, bigger and better things. Losing to Hellenius at this stage in your career, I mean, that can't be a good thing. I mean, I know he has looked a little bit better as of late. But I mean, this is a guy who Derek Chisora kicked his ass like 10 years ago. And then, got robbed, of course. But I mean, losing to Robert Hellenius, man. I mean, that's just. I think that was on a pay-per-view event too. I forget who that was, but I remember watching that fight, and I was like, the guy made Robert Hellenius look like he was 10 years younger. So I gotta think that I can't pick him to win this fight. That's pretty much all I've got for you.
All right. I'm going to mute you there, Donnie, so I don't hear the road noise. There we go. Good job. Andy, interesting fight, this Kaunowski against Demirzin. I just think another voice on this one would be good because it is more interesting than the Rancid Bartholomew fight, despite the amazing intro I gave that you weren't here to listen to. I didn't even know you were gone.
Absolutely,
I know.
glad I missed that.
No, it was talking about you seeing Rancid Bartholomew splattered in the canvas in your dreams.
I wouldn't go quite that far, but I'm not watching it. I can guarantee you that much. Unless I wake up to fight.
Yeah. You want to hear the intro he did when you were gone?
Once I wake up to hear that Gary Russell will be won by knockout, I might watch it. But I'm not going to my way to watch that one. And as for the heavyweight fight, I'm not over enamoured with that one either, to be honest with you. Kaunaki's obviously kind of getting brought back easy. Demirzin, I've seen him maybe once or twice. You say decent amateur background for what I can recall, but I just think he's very one-paced as well. So again, it's probably a 50-50 fight at this point, to be honest with you. I'll probably say Demirzin makes it some sort of kind of way competitive. I don't know if he can knock him out or win, actually, to be honest with you. I just don't know. But I would imagine Kaunowski wins on points, maybe. But I'm not saying that with any great. You just on the prediction league by any chance, no?
No.
Thank fuck. So I'll say Kaunowski by decision. I just don't know how this fight goes at all. Maybe is it a 10, 12 rounder? I don't know. He sprung it on me, so yeah, I'm not really looking forward to this card. And I didn't even know that Danny Garcia's fight against Benavidez was on this card as well. Boxrec haven't got it listed.
Yep, you're on fire.
Unbelievable. So it says card that's kind of been under my radar a wee bit, to be honest with you. It's almost a battle to the wash, to be honest with you. If Danny Garcia's on that card, now you've got Kaunowski coming off 2 knockouts. Who was the third fight? Francis Bartholomew? Nah.
Gary Antoine Russell.
Oh, mate. I must admit, this is probably one of the worst cards maybe Al Heyman's probably put on this year, to be honest with you. If it is Al Heyman that's a promoter, or was it BBC?
I think Konoski Demirzin is a good heavyweight fight. I'm sorry, I disagree with you.
Well, that's your entitlement to disagree with me. You do that quite often, actually, but I don't give a fuck.
Rancid Barthélemy, as shitty as he is a stepping stone, and I think it makes sense for this particular Russell to go in against him. It's a good.
Stepping stone for what though? It's just a
Towards
body
title.
on the record. What title?
I don't know where he's ranked, but he's working towards the title.
The guy's never had that. The guy's never had that.
Steve.
No, I was going to say the non-televised portion's got Derevchenko and Julian Williams on. It's not too bad.
Is that who they found for Julian Williams? It was still TBA when I looked.
No, they're not fighting each other. They're fighting in separate bouts.
Oh, damn it! That would have been a fucking interesting fight. Shit.
Is Barthélemy even ranked
I
at
don't know.
135, 140?
At 140, I don't know. Is he?
I know Russell is. So what's this? This isn't a ranking fight for him. This is just a keep busy fight against Rancid Barthélemy, who hasn't had a top tier level win, and I don't think he's had a top tier level win in his career, unless you want to factor in Kirill Relic, who was limited at the end of the day.
Well, you would hope that the
Mikey Bay, DeMarco. I mean, we're going back years here. We're going back 5-6 years here now at this point.
Those are both former world champions, are they not?
Yeah, years ago. He's done nothing since. So, about a draw with Robert Easter Jr. I can't remember that fight, to be honest. But
that was a terrible fight.
It was a shit fest.
My God.
What is that? 4 or 5 years ago.
I watched that, Andy. I remember at the time. Oh, that was shocking.
Nah, it's no for me this week, mate, to be honest with you. But as I say, I'll tune in to something. Again, it would depend really. If I wake up Sunday morning and I find out all three of these fights I went at distance, you can. I've got a lot of labouring today, by the way, because I could not sit and watch fucking 30 rounds of this trash. I think maybe Garcia Benavidez might be fight of the card possibly. But Russell Barthélemy does nothing for me, and Demirzin, as I say, he's a probably second tier European level type of fighter. And Kognacki for me is washed after what fucking Wilder done to him and Helenius done to him. Washed, mate.
Wilder didn't fight Kognacki.
Did they not knock him out? Who's the one I'm thinking about?
Helenius knocked him out
twice.
Was it Helenius that knocked him out with the big overhand right?
You might be confused when Wilder banged out Spilka.
Spilka, that's who it was, mate. Thanks.
Spilka Kognacki was a good fight. Do you remember that? That was quite fun.
Aye. Oh,
Yeah.
Polish affair, wasn't it?
Yeah, then that's why I said I think it could be an entertaining card. Steve, don't you agree?
I think the heavyweights might be entertaining. I think Demirzin, I think he put it on Ajagba the first couple of rounds and roughed him up a bit, but after that, Ajagba just outboxed him. But I think he'll stick it on Kognacki. If Russell can knock out Barthélemy, if Kognacki can knock out Demirzin, then it'll be pretty decent. As for the main event, I know Danny Garcia was getting touted as an opponent for Jaron Boots Ennis. So hopefully, if he gets past this Benavidez, he can make that happen.
Don't give your pick yet.
No, I'm not. I wonder if Garcia has what it takes left to make a decent run on the 154-pound division. I doubt it, to be honest. He's had a long career. He's made a lot of money. He'll be tough enough. He'll last the course. He'll be dangerous to hurt people. But I think it's diminishing returns for Garcia now. He's dangerous with that left hook, and he's tough. I don't see him making dents at this division. I think if Ennis can get his hands on him, beat the shit out of him, that would be interesting. Derevchenko's on the undercard against Joshua Connolly, apparently. I don't know who he is. I'll not make my pick yet. Yeah, Benavidez looked like trash against that Torres, who Hamza Shearez banged out. So this is poor from the PBC. I love Showtime. I'm a PBC fanboy. Praise be to Uncle Al. But this is cack.
Interesting. Donnie, why don't you preview this main event between Danny Garcia and Jose Benavidez before I move it over to Rob to make the first pick?
Boy, actually, I think this is actually a tough one to pick. I mean, if Garcia is in good shape, I mean, I don't know how much of him is left, but he's still a young guy. What is he? 33, maybe?
Yeah, but he hasn't fought in like 2 years.
Yeah, I know, but geez, I really think he can give Benavidez a run for his money. I mean, he's been in there with everybody. He's been in there with Khan, Thurman, you know, Soto, Carras, Guerrero. You know, I mean, he's just fought everybody, and he's no slouch. And I think he's a tough guy. You know, I mean, obviously the smart money would be on Benavidez, but you know, if he's not on his game, or if he thinks he's going to run into some, you know, aging veteran who's just going to you know, wilt at the first you know, opportunity. I mean, he's wrong, because Danny Garcia is a tough customer, and I don't know. I don't care how long it's been since he's fought, or what kind of layoff he's had. I mean, you know, he's from the Philly gyms. I mean, he's a tough guy, and you know, you could see a surprise in that one, in my opinion. I would actually, I would go ahead and actually pick Garcia by knockout, maybe, in that contest. I wouldn't see that as being beyond the realm of possibilities.
Maybe. I think I don't know. This is going to be the biggest opponent that Garcia has fought in his career. And Donnie, if you wouldn't mind muting yourself, it's going to be the biggest opponent that Garcia has fought in his career, giving up height and reach in this one against a motivated fighter. Rob, what are you thinking on this one? I don't think that Donnie made a super bold pick in Garcia, maybe Garcia by knockout, but I tend to think that Garcia is going to be the favorite in this one.
No, well, I think overall on the card it's been covered already by the lads, but you can't give it to the zone every week and Matchroom every week and not give it to Uncle Al there. Like, that's fucking stinking card. That is, like, Kavnaki, like, highly ranked or highly touted before he went on his knockout loss streak. Like, the undercard is dog shit, no doubt about it. A terrible card. Danny Garcia is probably sitting on about 10 million, isn't he? Like, but knowing him, I suspect he spends as quick as he earns. Like, he seems to have a very extravagant lifestyle from what you see on social media anyway. Like, you know, you can't believe everything you see, but he's definitely very active on the nightlife scene and the social scene. So I think he's one of these fighters that, I'm not saying he wasn't deserving of the money or whatever, because the landscape was what it was when PBC came around, but I think his career actually didn't benefit from him being probably overpaid. Hard guy to root for. Very, very exciting at 140 when he banged out Amir, or was that 47? When he banged out Amir Khan. He would have been in line to be one of the fighters to face Floyd on the kind of home run Showtime deal. I fully expected him to be the opponent after Maidan. I didn't think they'd move to the Pacquiao one until the last fight on the deal. So I thought Garcia would have been in the mix there. He was a rising star, like, but hard guy to root for. There was the Rod Salka thing where he just beat the shit out of a guy that he shouldn't have been in the ring with. It's not his fault that he was match made against him, but it kind of, with the expectations that were put on him, it soured a lot of people on him. And then there was the Mauricio Herrera, I think, wasn't it? Beat him out of sight in Puerto Rico and didn't get the decision. So I think Donnie's being a slightly kind to Garcia, but at the same time, I don't know if he's confusing Benavidez with the older brother, because I think Garcia surely be a favorite. Would he be a favorite with the bookies here?
I just looked; he's minus 200.
So he's the favorite. Is that
Yep.
in real terms? Like, yeah. So I think he will be the favorite. But Benavidez won't let him have it all his own way. He gave Terrence Crawford a very good fight and was in the fight. He wasn't winning the fight, but he was in it up until he got stopped. I know he got shot in the leg before, didn't he, or something like that? He has a leg injury or a hip injury or something.
It's about the thug life, Rob.
He went over, didn't he, like a skittle when Crawford hit him with a left hook.
Yeah,
He kind of he went over on the leg buckle. So will the leg
They're a
hold
rough
up to that?
family, aren't they, than Benavidez is?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't take the current out of the bun, put it that way. Like, but fucking, what was I going to say? I was trying not to curse as much on the pod now that I'm getting older. But I was going to say, I think Benavidez is definitely capable of beating Danny Garcia, this version of Danny Garcia, but will his leg hold up to the fucking left hook of Danny Garcia? They say the last thing that goes is the power, but I have my suspicions that Garcia hasn't really lived a life in between his periods of inactivity and can't turn back time. You know what I mean? All the young fighters have to capitalize on their time, and he's one that missed the bus for me. So, I missed the boat rather. So I'd expect Garcia to come through, but maybe not look good.
All right. So Rob is going with Garcia on points there. Steve, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's not going to do well for me in the prediction league, but I'm thinking the same. Garcia on points. Benavidez, as I said to Rob, he's about the thug life. He's been shot in the leg, gave Crawford a bit of a run in, but then wasn't seen for nearly 3 years after that. Looked like shit against Torres, was hobbling around the place, probably should have lost that fight. I don't know how far his career is going to go. I don't think Garcia's in any great shape either, but I think he's in better condition than Benavidez, and he'll beat him on points. Is this a 10 or a 12, Matty?
12.
See, I'll be tempted to go for the stoppage because if Garcia can retain his power and his strength, and Benavidez was definitely blowing out of his hole in that last fight against Torres. No, I don't know. Okay, I'll mix things up. I'll go for Garcia by stoppage. I think later on he might get to Benavidez and wear him down and get the stoppage just to make things interesting. I'll go stoppage, but it'd be interesting after this what they do with Garcia. If he gets past it, it's hard to say. Matchmaking permitting how far he goes. An all Philly fight with John Ennis would be what I would like to see. See if Boots can get in the hell out of there, if he can take him a few rounds. But on this one, Garcia, I'll mix it up and say stoppage for the prediction league.
That is an interesting pick, especially because I can't remember Garcia stopping anyone of note at 147.
It's a terrible pick, isn't it, really? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it truly is. But I see where you're going with it, 100%.
I'm a brave man, Matthew, brave man.
You truly are. You're like one step away from saying that you're going to scale K2.
Absolutely. Scale Katie Taylor.
Oh, Andy, your pick.
I'll go Garcia by stoppage.
Ooh, both of you guys. Interesting. Oz, tell them why they're wrong.
I'm going to go Garcia on points.
God, Garcia moving up a weight, hasn't fought in about 20 months at this point in time. God, I mean, you got to be pretty inactive for a Benavidez to be more active than you. I don't know. I think at some point in time, his arrogance is going to get to him. He's got a tremendous resume, but he just hasn't been coming out on top at 147 pounds against the top guys. What's a level down going to go? You know, this is a guy that went 12 rounds with Terrence Crawford at 147 pounds, getting stopped in the 12th round. Man, I could just easily go with the flow on this one, pick Garcia one way or the other, but I'm going Benavidez. I'm going with Benavidez by stoppage.
Crawford fight was 4 years ago as well, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And he's been grossly inactive since then.
Yeah. Yeah, still more active recently than Garcia has been.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I don't know, and like I said, I was going through Garcia's box rec, and he's fought a staggering number of opponents that are like 5'8" to 5'9", 5'9.5". You know, I know Benavidez only has another inch on that, but Garcia hasn't fought very many big guys, so it'll be interesting to see what he runs into in this one. I think that it's you know, like I said, he's not a huge favorite in this one, and I think there's a reason for that one. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this one goes. I actually think this is a pretty interesting main event, and I think it could surprise some people who think that it's not going to impress.
Well, I'm not sure. I think Steve made a good point, mate. That Torres guy who Hamza Shiraz, beat up, he was pretty limited. And the fact that Benavidez went the distance and basically got, a majority draw, I think there's a reason they've picked this guy for Garcia, because they know he's not saying there for the taking and he's going to roll over, but will he pose the problems of other 154 fighters? Probably not. So that's where I just side with it. Yes, Garcia has not been active whatsoever, but even then, Benavidez, realistically, he's had one fight since 2018, and that was that draw, and that was in November last year. What's he been doing? He'll be on half decent money. That's probably why he's taking this. I think this has just been set up for Garcia to win. Just solely going off, who he's been in with and that sort of stuff. And unless Garcia grossly underestimates him, that's why I just can't see him falling short in this fight.
Yeah, Matty, if anybody interested, I know we're going way over on this, but I brought up some notes that I made from that previous fight. I know I am a bit of a sado, but I thought Torres won the fight. Benavidez looked rusty, static. He'd been out for 3 years, going forward in straight lines. He got shot as well, and he's a bit of an arsehole outside of the ring. Benavidez, his dad, thought that the fight was an 8-rounder when it was a 10-rounder, and there was a bit here as well. He was knackered physically and mentally after round 7. So that was my notes from Torres for what it's worth.
Well, there you go. Maybe I'm going to look like an idiot next week. Well, we all know I'm going to look like an idiot. It's just a matter of for what reason.
Depends on what. So well said, Matthew. You're a self-deprecating character, and that's why we love you, Matthew.
Yep. If if you laugh at yourself, they really can't laugh at you, right, Steve?
Exactly. If you can't laugh at someone else, who can you laugh at?
There you go. All right. So that is it for the week, and not a whole lot going on there, I guess, but we'll move it along and send to Steve for the Bellew of the week.
Great stuff. Thank you, Matty. Right, it's 484. My internet's been fucking up all night, so if I go in and out, you'll just have to bear with me, I'm afraid. That's the way. I've been rattling heads. Nobody seems to be on it, so there's nothing I can do. Donnie's here, though, thankfully. Rob's disappeared. Ozzy's here. Matty's here. Andy's here. And I'm still here for the time being. Oh, I think Ozzy's going. There you go. They're dropping like flies. Let's see what we're going to play to the intro to this episode 484. Let's go classic Dempsey. Here we are, Paul.
And we are all set very shortly now for our top of the bill here tonight at the BT Sports studio. It is for the famous and historic British middleweight title. And before we get to talk about our main fight here, David, I think it is perhaps appropriate tonight that we just pause to mark Black History Month, most of all. And we discussed it today, and we thought it was actually right that we acknowledge that properly, and there's nobody better placed on our team to do that than Steve Bunt. So over to you for a moment, Steve.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Oh, good old Bunsey. Never gets
Someone
old.
should splice that clip into the other one where he's talking to, who was it? Chisora. Is it Chisora?
Oh, yes. Yep. Good old Eric. Yeah, we'll maybe play that one as well later on as things move along. Let's get on to our first nomination then. There's a bit of beef going on this week, Andy, between friend of the pod, Billy Nelson, and one-time friend of the pod, Scam Jones. Billy Nelson was drawing attention to somebody. He said, he looks more like you, mate. Receding hair, turkey teeth, fake Rolex. Scam responded, I have beautiful natural teeth because I brush them, which you should try. I don't have a receding hairline because at Get More Hair UK made me look incredible, and I don't wear fake Rolexes. Now, please go and change some of that nose hair, you absolute fart of a human.
I'll tell you what, by the way, see if we can do it swapping hands between either of they two. I know who my money would be on, by the way.
I think Billy might gas after a few rounds.
I tell you, Billy will need one round, mate. I'm telling you.
Wait, who's Sam Jones?
That's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Well, we need to go and get the paperwork out, mate, to find out the truth behind that one.
Sam's a PR guru, though. We've seen him in action trying to sell a show on Probellum. Let's watch that right now.
Du meine Arbeit für richtig hältst, ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich nicht in diesen Jahren...
Wait, and he's talking shit to Billy Nelson. Was Ricky Hatton's trainer, right?
Yeah, no, Ricky Burns' trainer.
Ricky, yeah.
No.
Yeah, well, yeah. This Sam Jones. I don't care if he's got a blue check mark behind his name, but he seems like a tool.
You're a good judge of character, Donald. It's a nomination for Sam and Billy for their back and forward. Sticking it on a Scottish theme, Andy. A friend of the pod, Ryan Deal, is quite handy with the photoshopping. He dropped this one for us.
Steve,
I look like Stephen Hawking.
Tommy looks like Ricky Gravel just shit his pants. And I've just smelled something just farting right next to me.
There's Tommy Senior and Ebbs is Diane.
It's amazing that Ebbs is there because I tell you what, Steve, I cannot get enough of that Ebbs and Gad content. Can you? That is a fucking great joke.
Take it away,
Do more of that.
just wave it off. Value of the week's over.
I tell you what, he's handy with the photoshops. Is Ryan Deal. That was a good one. But yeah, Rob's
As
mentioning.
New Zealand, eh?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a good lad. Is Ryan. Rob's mentioning the Ebony and Gad content. There was a nomination this week for Michael Shoebobs. I'm not in control. I just do the fighting, says Ebbs, to pitch boxing. Gareth A. Davis talking with the IBF bantamweight champion Ebony Bridges and whether there should have been a women's fight in Saudi Arabia. But as Rob says, I don't know whether we should be talking about Ebbs anymore because we've got to mention this week in the comments from Stig's Hairy Chest. Bit boring now, this Ebony Gad thing, chaps. Can't you think of new material, for fuck's sake?
I've got a guy working to find out that IP address because I think that's somebody I know, so I'm going to find out who that is.
Hammering out the same old content down with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I've been told the location was last known at an NHS hospital, so it could be.
Yeah. I hope he's all right. He's well enough. He's well enough to text. I hope he's all right. The fella. He's got a family, and he's got a family. I hope he's all right.
Who are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm just speculating. You know?
So was that. I've not got a clue who you're talking about.
Pure speculation. We got I don't know if this is a nomination for us, Andy, or for the man himself, but we got a message this week to take down Belly of the Week episode 476 because we included a promo video. So no promos of promo videos for Don King Promotions. This was the Spectrum one. Don King Productions has said this is going down in 7 days, whether you like it or not. And the email was sent from donkingdkp@gmail.com. The Don hasn't even got a proper email, Andy.
Fucking muppet. I love this bit. I love this. This wee bit here, where he actually asks us. What does it say here? Don King Productions Incorporated wants to give you an opportunity to resolve your copyright issue before your video is removed and a copyright strike applied. What was the opportunity that we got?
Nothing. What could you do next? Do nothing.
What we meant to pay him?
Can we ask the listeners to all email this address?
Yeah, we could do.
Yep. Don't send any spam emails to that email address. Whatever you do, donkingdkp@gmail.com.
No, just send some dick pics to it.
Johnny, don't get us sued, you fucking idiot. You of all goddamn people should not fucking say anything of this nature.
What? I didn't tell people to do it. I just suggested that it might be entertaining.
It could entertain a lot of people. Least of which the people in charge of Boxing Asylum and the associated podcast.
Well, they could just sue Ben Wiseman Industries.
Yeah. Tommy Allen Guru Promotions. Ben Wiseman Industries.
Or Cramerica Industries. I think that might be a better shout.
Yeah, I'm a bit touchy about playing videos and stuff now because last Monday we got a strike as well of Kingpin Boxing, so fuck them for playing that video of that little ginger fella and that big fat guy with the belly at some white collar event or something. So they gave me a load of grief last Monday and I had to spend all day trimming and clipping to try and get it out of the video because it was taken down. So thank you to them. So we're not going to play this video.
You would think they would be happy for the fucking, the bit of promotion that we gave them. Because folk might even go back and say, okay, I might go and watch that now. Fuck it. This is what's happening. I noticed Tim Boxeo's getting caught out a fair bit as well with his content.
Cheeky bastards. There's people from like Serbia and frigging Tanzania and Botswana trying to sue Tim Boxeo. I mean, who else is going to put this stuff up?
Exactly. Nobody. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even fucking be aware these fights were happening. Or you got maybe watch it on fucking Facebook or YouTube for nothing.
Cheeky bastards, man. We stood for last Sunday and laughed for a good 5 minutes at their show, and then they had the cheek on the Monday to try and take us down.
Probably fucking 3 folk watched that card live, and we could probably maybe generate more content for them than they would imagine.
Bunch of bastards.
Yeah. So I haven't cut this. You'll be glad to hear for your ears. Is this the best Eddie Hearn impression ever? This is what IFL's been reduced to. Josh Jamesy, Jimmy Toyne, amongst many other people, sent this in. I mean, look, fair play to anybody who wants to do impressions or tell jokes. It's a difficult world out there. Stand-up comedy, you have my respect. But this fella, man, I don't know what he's
Well,
playing.
you can't play this one.
No, I'm not cutting any this week, Donny. I've been burned, man. Been burned. Not
But
playing.
wait, I mean, it's just somebody taking a video at a fight, right?
Well, you think that?
They can't handle the bants, mate. That's the problem. They can't handle the bants.
This is IFL. Put this up. I tell you what, it was interesting this week during IFL. I don't know if anybody else saw.
IFL put this up. All right.
Well, I don't know if anybody else saw this on IFL's YouTube channel this week, Andy. They put up a video saying Oscar De La Hoya getting knocked out, and then they showed the full fight or clips of De La Hoya getting knocked out by Bernard Hopkins. I didn't know IFL were in the business of showing those clips. Are they trolling on behalf of somebody? Why would they put that up?
Is that those wee kind of like YouTube small video takes you can get or whatever it is? It's some sort of feed. It's not
It was
like
like a
full...
wee 5-minute vignette, and
Oh, was
it was Oscar De La Hoya getting knocked out for the first time. I just thought it was odd that they put that up because they don't usually put that type of
I was about to
content.
say that'll be copyright content as well then.
I wonder where they got it from. They must have had the copyright go ahead. I wonder who sent that.
Top Rank would if it's, who was the promoter of that? Was it Top Rank? Was it Oscar
Top
himself?
Rank promoted it. Said Top Rank on the video.
Top Rank are fucking usually on the ball when it comes to the copyrights. 'Cause I've been bunged a few times off the bastards, so we watch. But then IFL were putting up the Sonny Edwards carry on yesterday as well on their channel. That's how
were they?
desperate that's how desperate they are for content these days.
It's a good move.
Fuck
He
happened,
didn't. It's a good move not playing it on the show, because how bad would it be if the fucking Pod's last hurrah was some fella doing a fucking impression of Eddie Hearn? That's what finally got us kicked off the fucking airwaves.
That would be
a big win for Eddie. The first win that Eddie's had this year, possibly.
That would be the ultimate irony. The biggest win against the podcast virgins since this
I
happened.
want to go around and start researching my interviews from 5 years ago, which I think was longer than that, from the Frankie Gavin fight, wasn't it? 4 or 5 years ago. Jesus Christ, get yourself a life. Firstly, oh my God, I found this clip from Hearn 6 years ago. Oh, the forums are going to love this one. Oh, you wait till I tell my mates on the boxing nutters messenger group. Oh, I'm going to be the king. Fuck's sake, get a life.
Shake, rattle, and roll, baby. Absolutely.
He's even did the shoulder roll there as well.
He's class, isn't he? Couldn't bring himself to say it. Good old Eddie. Yeah. Could have been Josh James doing that. Could have been Josh James. Who knows? Anyway, let's move on from that, shall we? Nailed on winner for sure, says Scott Robbins for the Ultras podcast. The Ultras podcast said there's this thing called Boxing Twitter where dudes who've never seen the inside of a boxing gym are telling professional boxing coach Ben Davidson they know more about boxing than he does. This was an interesting one, actually, because I thought Ultras podcast was supposed to be
Ben Davidson never saw the inside of a boxing ring. He's a fitness trainer.
Yeah, that's kind of how he got his job, asshole.
Ben Davison was going to do the Matt and DJ Arnaldo route for his fight against fucking Usyk and Joshua. Got to be Margarito, man. Got to put the pressure on him. Got to get those fucking, get on his chest. Get the looping right hands coming over the top. Make him work at a pace he's not used to.
I wouldn't even mind, but Angelo Dundee and Eddie Futch never fought either. So
yeah.
No, that's true. They were just virgins like us.
Probably the only time you'll ever hear Ben Davison's name mentioned with Angelo Dundee and Eddie Futch.
Well, apart from if he's talking, Rob.
Yeah.
Jake Paul tweeted out, Conor Ben dirty because he doesn't want Chris Eubank to have a massive size advantage fight night. No, he just wants a fair, safe fight. Rackman can weigh in any fight night, 200 weigh in, 214, blah, blah, blah. Chris Eubank responded. He said, yo, Jake Paul, once I deal with Ben and take care of Rackman, how about me and you go a couple rounds? I'll come in at 160. You come in at whatever you want. Winner gets Canelo. And don't worry, I ain't no Tommy Fury. If I'm say something, I'm going to do something, I get it done. So there you go. He's making the fights there, Andy. Winner gets Canelo. Thanks for that, Chris.
Fucking hell. Where did he even start with this pish? I said my piece last week about the Eubank Ben situation. It's just everybody's on the grift these days. They're all. It's noticeable that MTK are no longer in the sport these days because obviously there's no content. So this is what we're reduced to, these novelty fights. Fucking calling people out on social media, get the eyes on it, and then hopefully you can make a fucking payday in the end of it. But he ain't fighting Tommy fucking Jake Paul, Chris Eubank. Fuck's sake, man, that's just never happening ever.
We're all begging for that Jake Paul payday, and then he throws Canelo in. And like Canelo is like, okay, I'll fight the winners of you.
I had to laugh at Jake Paul roasting Conor McGregor. Actually, remember he was saying that you're claiming you made 100 million against Floyd, but you're not telling the truth that Dana White took half of it. I'm like, oof, it's a fucking bit of a shot. But he's not fucking fighting these days. And you got Paulie now, Paulie Malignaggi, saying that he's on the growth. But if you look at him these days, actually, he's looking fucking
big, yeah,
massive, man. He must be on something.
He is. Tony Bellew.
Been on a few things here. Anyway.
Tony Bellew was tweeting out, as usual. Chris Crotty nominated this one. Troy Hawk, Milo Comedy, jumped in. He says, Tony, I listened to your audiobook whilst training for a boxing match in February. The sacrifice. The honest self-examination. I then got sparked out in the second round in a nightclub called Envy after windmilling for 5 minutes. But it wasn't your fault. Never stop, never change. Tony. Oh dear.
Well, that's that guy that did the welcome for the Man City.
The Man City thing, yeah, I saw that.
It was quite funny, that.
It was
Nordic meat shield.
That's right. You have a spherical face.
When is Tony Bellew and honest self-examination never been in the same sentence?
when he said Tony died, he became Anthony overnight, born again Christian.
Dolly, have you not bought his book? Everybody has a plan until they win a vacant belt. 12 ways to disappear from public life. We published it.
And, he did have that moment of introspection where he realized how fat he was, and he was going to the barbecue for beer and shit.
Oh yeah.
Aye, that meltdown on Twitter about it.
He's doing the burpees and all on Insta, wasn't it?
Disgusted with myself.
Fat bastard.
He gave into the bread, didn't he? He gave into the bread. Like all the greats.
Goddamn gluten.
Exactly. I don't know where you even start with this one, boys. Rick Glazer this week.
Oh no.
Rick Glazer. Someone set up about 6 imposter accounts, but also geniusly, I think they actually hacked the real account as well. They just created complete havoc, complete destruction. Andy Glazer. Absolute car crash.
I've never really followed it. I just seen him kicking off something crazy. I didn't get a chance to follow it, mate, because I go back into work last week and it was like chaos. So I couldn't follow this chaos on Twitter. Tell me what happened. So they've hacked his account and started just going absolutely crazy with it.
Yeah, someone hacked his account, so that was bad enough. But then they set up like loads of other fake accounts. So Twitter couldn't understand who the real one was. So he was sending DMs off the real account to people, screenshotting them. Then whoever it was set up a fake Twitter support account and threw that into the mix as well. Glazer was desperately trying to tell everybody that he was the real account, but because there was like dodgy stuff coming off it, you didn't really know whether it was him or not.
I'm telling you right now, mate, Rick Glazer International Boxing PLC clearly doesn't have a 2-step verification on his Twitter account. Rookie mistake. What a fucking muppet.
Say those DMs were interesting. Whoever hacked in there.
There's a whole new meaning to slipping into DMs. That one, I bet you. By the way, I bet there's some fucking sleaze and slickiness on my fucking DMs.
Oh, it's been brilliant all week. Good old Rick. Also, yeah, on a normal week, I would have played this one, but Juice picked this up off Instagram.
God.
Demetrius Andrade, Rob, calling out Eubank, was it, for $1 million? Winner gets Canelo, maybe.
I had a bit of set to a guy on Twitter today actually about Andrade. Holy fuck.
What the actual fuck was going on in that video? Like, this is the world we're living in, right? Seriously, look at the landscape. When you talk about boxing being devoid of stars, there's about 3 stars and about 150 imposters. Like, Eubank is calling out Jake Paul. Like, all the boxers pandering to Jake Paul is sickening. And I'm not saying like some fucking, I understand business, like, and I know the networks look at the numbers and they all want a piece of Jake Paul. But like the pandering from the fighters to Jake Paul's fucking boxing career is a joke at this stage. One of these legit guys is going to end up in a fight with him very soon, like, because they're dying to get paid. Like, and then you got fucking Boo Boo, who's on a side of a street somewhere, out like I am now, right? And he's making a call out video essentially to Chris Eubank, wagering $1 million. But he keeps saying, what really cracked me up when I was watching it was Boo Boo's, and he appears to be. Well, I don't know if he talks like that or not, but he sounded drunk to me. I'm fucking Irish. I know drunk when I fucking hear one. And he sounded like he was on something anyway. And he said,
he's pissed, Rob, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, come on, Chris. You know, the whole world is looking for this. Luxembourg, Netherlands, Japan. And I'm like, he sounded like fucking Chappelle when he was doing the Black Bush skit. He was like, we got the coalition of the willing. We got Stankonia is willing to drop bombs over Baghdad.
I thought it was LL Cool J was going to get in there.
Tokyo was sending PlayStation.
What is going on, Boo Boo?
You can tell he's drunk. Look at his
No wonder
eyes, man.
like-
Look at him, all droopy in that.
Even Eddie couldn't sell you fucking Andrade. Now that'll tell you, right? Even Eddie couldn't fucking make it happen for Andrade.
I can actually see from this photo he's clearly on the east side of Providence, which is his home, and which was my home for many years.
That's you in the background with a burrito. If you look, zoom in there.
He brought a cameraman with him on the way home from the pub, Donny.
Oh no! I mean, look at the hair. I mean, like the guy looks like he's seen better days.
Look at the
He has a
eyes.
drink.
The eyes.
He loves
the
the
eyes
drinks,
never
doesn't
lie.
he? He loves the drink apparently.
Eyes never lie, mate.
Whatever happened?
So says Jason Chukwu.
Remember when he was supposed to be joining like who was the rapper that was was it 50 Cent that was starting a promotional company?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he gave Billy Dibb a bunch of money. What a fucking idiot.
Yeah, and then he was supposed to be joining that, and like he's supposed to be getting a bunch of money from them. I mean, like
Thank God, Boa didn't he?
I mean, could Demetrius Andrade, I mean, if I was him, what is he, like 34, 35 years old? Dude, take a fucking pay cut and fight somebody and go try to make a legacy for yourself. I mean, what a pathetic waste of talent. I mean, this guy was, he was good. You know, he was a medal favorite.
Charlo back in the day, though.
What?
He ducked Charlo back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, there was a lot of allegations.
50-50 for Cotto as well. The nerve. The fucking nerve of this guy.
He's thick though, Donny, because he spent all that time trying to get out of the contract with Star or Banner or whoever, and he's signed with Salita now, apparently.
Aye.
I don't know.
He loves giving away his
Something tells me
money.
he regrets turning down those money fights.
If you want to talk about an epic waste of talent, though, I mean, this guy is it. I mean, I saw him fight when he was an amateur because he was from my area. You know, I mean, he was excellent. He was the medal favorite. I think he lost in like the first round of the Olympics of like maybe of a controversial decision or whatever. And then like, I mean, but he was supposed to be a big star. He was supposed to be somebody. And he just wasted it all. And it's not like he did anything wrong necessarily. It's not like he went out and did.
He just didn't do anything right.
Yeah, exactly. He just didn't do anything. I mean, it was such a waste. It's a shame.
You know, he talked about it in an interview recently.
Why the
He
fuck was
said-
Luxembourg the first country he said? By the way, is he big in Luxembourg, Boo Boo Andrade?
He talked about it in an interview recently, and he said, it was very intriguing, very intriguing.
Because intriguing is his fucking fights.
He's off his head, old Andre. Yeah, he's been nominated anyway. We'll move on. Better Q has nominated the Gaffer. The Gaffer 12 has a reason why DAZN is failing. DAZN was let down by the public, he says. If more people subscribed, it could do so much more for fight fans. So it's our fault, not yours, Matty. It's not your fault.
I'm actually subscribed, so fuck you, assholes. Get a subscription.
It's our fault for not
If
subscribing.
if I lose my $10 a month being able
What
to watch
was that I
Big O
heard?
box, I'm going to be irritated.
What was that I heard during the week? So if you get the Josh, what was the pay-per-view again? Is it Canelo Golovkin in the UK? If you're a subscriber, you get it for X amount, but if you're a non-subscriber, you got to pay extra to get it at the pay-per-view.
$16.99 if you're a subscriber, wasn't it, or something like that? I think.
They can sook on my fucking whistle for that, by the way.
I got to watch Usyk versus Joshua for free. With my subscription, so that's cool.
You won't, because it's on Sky Sports.
No, it's on Sky in the UK and it's on DAZN in the States. Suck that nut.
Pay-per-view's dead, Matty. I heard from a good source.
I have heard that confirmed.
Right, let's move on. Nang 2942 has nominated Box Story, Rack Noble. He's a nomination all of himself, that fella. It's a bit pedantic, this one, but I thought it was quite funny. He put up a thread giving 10 examples of the WBA showing complete incompetence. We can get on board with that one, definitely, Andy. Number 10, no surprise that a sanctioning body is taking brides to give fighters better...
The WBA, you say? The WBA? In all my life, I never thought I would hear.
Rather than brides, just taking brides.
Steve, I tweeted out an article for Box Illustrated a couple of weeks back, or maybe last week, about WBA. It was like, no business like WBA, no business Jimmy Pinstripes, taking all that bread off his fighters. If he didn't pay Jimmy Pinstripes, then he didn't appear in the fucking rankings.
I hope this story proves to be true, because other than that, they're damaging the good reputation of the WBA there.
Especially taking brides in the Philippines, no less. There you go. Shady WBA. We'll get off that subject. Sky Sports, Caroline Dubois has come up the hard way. David has nominated this, though. Caroline said, we walked into the gym and it was a boys-only club, so we knew beforehand what we had to say. And I said my name was Colin, and they just believed it. Sounds like the old Porky story, Andy. Of
Yeah,
Colin.
that she looked quite butch as a youngster, really. She passed herself off as a man, you know.
Oh, Colin Dubois. It could have been written by this fella.
I'm not
Isaac
what to say.
Warrior Low.
I'm not what to
Go on,
say
Andy.
much, but what age did she walk into the gym? Because you know what I'm saying. If she was a developing female, I think it would be a wee bit noticeable. You know what I'm saying?
Developing fast. Isaac Warrior Low has been nominated by Mikey Thompson, who's in the chat tonight. Isaac sent out a tweet. He says, "Chilling time. Can't leave me slip at home. Got come with me, lol." All right then, Isaac.
So he's saying that I think he's full to the brim and he said we get some release here. I think that's what he's talking about.
Oh dear. And James Becker's nominated this one. What have we got here? Nicola Adams. Can't believe it. It's official. Me and Ella Baig, our parents now. Can't wait to get you home, little one. It's a lovely story. I don't know what James Becker's nominated that for. Congratulations to Victoria and Ella Baig for the birth of their youngster. And finally, here we are. This is the one everyone's been talking about and tweeting about this week. A world champion versus a man who's never boxed before, streamed live on Instagram. Who dares say boxing is an unserious sport? Has anyone been following this? This fella going down to fight Sonny Edwards, I think it was.
I don't know what happened on Twitter, mate, but I only seen clips, to be honest with you, and then other folk were mentioning it, so I don't know if the guy's been trolling him or just been about a banter back and forth between the two, but your man's basically turning up at Sonny Edwards' gym saying, right, I'm ready to go, let's fucking go. But I'm thinking to myself, if a guy's going to turn up at a gym to fight a pro fighter, I'm thinking he's going to have a wee bit of training about him. But this motherfucker had the box once and he's fucking buff. Didn't know how to throw a punch.
He's just like, I could 112-pound fighter who's really knocked out nobody. Fuck him. What's he gonna do?
I had a look at your man's. Had a look at your man's Twitter after someone retweeted it or something, but I think he's very much in the same spectrum as Charlie Zelenov and fucking homeboy that was fighting with Porky. I don't
or
think
an attention seeker or something going on there.
Yeah, no, I think it's a little bit. Yeah, I think he's more kind of Prince Michael territory now.
Oh,
more
right,
than anything
right.
else, you know that way. So yeah. Somewhere, but judging by what the fuck he was saying, well, maybe that's because Sonny Edwards poked the fucking head off him and he just came and started talking crazy shit. But I think the signs are there. Like that's what I don't want to get too fucking serious, but I'd be wary of boxers doing shit like this. I know Wilder hit fucking Zelenoff, like, but say what the fuck happens to Zelenoff? Like they go on, you know what I mean? People who have like very volatile fucking mental states, like in your fight, you know, you're fighting them in public and that, like.
The board could take issue with that as well, possibly.
Didn't Floyd Senior light Zelenoff up too?
Yeah, he knocked him out of the ring. Yeah, Floyd Senior beat up Zelenoff as well. Remember that?
And then he turned his back, and then he fucking came at him.
Well, people are always saying that these YouTube fights and these TikTok fights are dangerous and someone's going to get hurt. What about these going down to the gym to fight pro boxers fights? Is someone going to get hurt in one of them?
Someone's going to get hurt for that.
This is what I'm saying. You're dicing a fucking very wary thing here because at the end of the day, see these pro gyms need to be licensed as well. I'm sure even the trainer has got to be licensed with the board.
Andy, you make an interesting point actually amongst all of that. Many years ago, a friend of mine, Big Nicky Fullerton, shout out to him. He listens to the pod occasionally. He did a charity boxing thing in one of the hotels in Belfast. And literally, I mean, he was dancing around the ring with a few professionals. You had Jamie Conlon was there, Martin Lindsay, Frampton, I think maybe, Big Rogie, Eamon McGee, blah, blah, blah. And someone from the British board turned up on the night, one of the local Northern Ireland representatives. And at the beginning, there was a whole big fuss. He was trying to get it stopped because there were so many British license holders there. Mm-hmm. And whether it was classed as a proper fight, I mean, it clearly wasn't a proper fight. I mean, Nicky will tell you that himself. But he was saying, well, hang on, is there punches going to be thrown here? We could maybe stop this. And there was the danger of the event not going ahead. And it got smoothed over. They saw Nicky in action. They realised that no one was going to get hurt. But like you say, Andy, the board was ready to kibosh that.
I remember 15 years ago being in the gym, right? And this woman brought on her son. And he looked about 8 or 9 at the time. And they'd asked him, can he train here? And he says, this is a pro gym, pal. You can't train in here. I think there's something to do with the licensing. There's got to be certain criteria, probably enhanced disclosures because you work with children and that as well. So they had to push him out, really. So I just think you've got to be kind of wary of this because I says, remember before the Flintoff got licensed, he had to go in front of the board and actually have a live sparring session in front of board members before he could get a license to show.
And they're still past him after that. The standards must be pretty low then.
Exactly. So again, all you need is an arsehole on the board just to get fucking funny with you, and you're like, well, I'm going to take this all the way, get these cunts fucking suspended. So you just got to watch. And as you say Sonny did hurt that boy, and maybe not just like, maybe he walked out the ring, he was fine. But say later on during the day he takes a fucking brain bleed or something like that, something undiagnosed, he just didn't know about, and the guy drops fucking dead. He's got your answer for that, you know. It's not worth the
There
hassle.
has to be some recognition of "don't start shit, won't be shit." In the
Of
law.
course,
like
of
I'm
course, but
so
come on.
against people going and thinking they're bad, getting proved they're not bad, and then thinking they have some legal recourse. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Like, keep your fucking mouth shut. And if you don't want to keep your mouth shut, don't go to a public place where you're gonna have to offer up to back up your words. It's just pretty simple. And if you do, and you get your ass kicked, it happens. There was, Donnie, do you remember that show that they used to have on MTV, Bully Beatdown, where they'd get a bully into the ring with an MMA fighter?
Yes.
And I thought it was a really interesting way to do it. Like, they just get like someone that was getting like bullied, like, you know, like obviously they had the people that were bullying them had to be over the age of 18 because otherwise they couldn't go and get their ass kicked. And they put him in with an MMA fighter for one round of stand up and one round of grappling. And it was a couple of times, the bully actually got the better of the MMA guy. It was a rare occasion. But I just think it's a good idea. Like, I think there should definitely be an avenue for people who are running their mouth to get it shut up in front of people. I think it's perfectly fine.
No, I think what you're saying, Matty, is right and all, but I just wonder, well, you know, everyone's moaning about YouTube and they're moaning about TikTok and they're moaning about this, that, and the other. What the ramifications would be, indeed, if someone come down and, God forbid, someone did get hurt against a boxer in a gym with a license. I'm not trying to take this seriously. It's the value of the week, but I'm just wondering. Be interesting, wouldn't it? You know, the ramifications of that if something were to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that, but I mean, I think, don't gyms usually have waivers and shit like that? I mean, in other ways, I mean, there's insurance when you get to events and stuff. I mean, there's avenues of protection, avenues of acceptance, and avenues of liability. And
I wouldn't even chance it, mate. I would not. I mean, listen, look, I'm not trying to bag on Sonny, right? As Des says in the chat, he's bang on. He's driving the car on his phone, sending messages. I believe his kids were in the car at the same time, heading down to a sparring session against some sort of halfwit who could have been tooled up for all he knew. And he's trying to get a unification fight with Julio Cesar Martinez. You could end up fucking up his own money to get involved with some sort of Twitter beef. Just fucking let it ride, man. You're fucking meant to be above this cunt. I know it's all about, you know, try to issue receipts from people and you know, maybe teach a wee bit of respect, but at the end of the day, you're running a fucking fine line at the end of the day because you kill that guy. Remember, you're a trained fighter, and you know you've heard it before. If you go to court, your fists are basically classed as weapons because you know how to use them.
Yeah, I mean, but it's going to be
a severe risk. Like,
there's a reason why we're talking hypotheticals here, and I think we should move on. But I mean, the point is that in the gym, guys use 16-ounce, gloves. They wear headgear or whatever.
Not always.
Tyson didn't wear headgear in the gym. We know that because Cuss was paranoid and he thought that if you didn't, if you fought with headgear on, that you would get a false sense of security and would take shots when you shouldn't take them. But maybe some gyms still operate like that. But in general, you try to keep your fighter from getting cut. So they wear heavy headgear. They wear big pillow gloves or whatever. Nobody's going to die in the gym. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, in theory, it could happen, but in all likelihood, it's not going to happen. So,
do you think they wear headgear at the dog pound?
Well, not when you're there. They just wear.
What happened to Nick Blackwell again? What happened to that gym after he got injured after that sparring session after the Eubank fiasco? Because he went back in the ring for a sparring session.
Yeah, well, that's honestly that's the only example I could think of. I was just going to say that. Other than that, I just can't think of one.
I think to draw a line under this and move on in Value of the Week, I think that one of the wider things is what Ded's touched upon as well. It's got to a point now where social media is life for people, and sometimes you just got to consider ignoring, or it is an option to turn the thing off. It is an option to turn social media off, and you don't have to listen to everybody. I'm not saying that with Sonny Edwards, just in general. There's an option to just log out and forget about it. It ain't your life. Get out in the real world.
I mean, I don't know what set it off, to be honest with you. But as I say, knowing Sonny as I do, and that, you know, he's not going to take any shit off anybody.
Mhm.
He's just going to clap back until he wins, basically. You
Mhm.
know, so.
Yeah. Right, let's move on. So Ryan Deal sent us another one. Here's Bill Cream Ben. There you are, Matty, getting his hair done in the Bill Cream, the barber shop. He's good with the old Photoshop.
That's really fantastic Photoshop. You got to give credit where it's due right there. That caught me off guard. I had to lean in a bit on that one.
He's telling you, man, you just need to hit the exits. Look for the exits.
And he's wearing a thing for Brill Cream. I mean, I feel like I'm with Don Draper and Roger Sterling over here.
Talking of barbers, I'm sure I've told this story on the podcast before, but I remember many years ago when going into barbers in Belfast, and the fellow was a bit of a fight fan. He had Marciano on the wall, and I got talking to him. Says, "Oh, you're a bit of a fight fan, then, aren't you?" And he went, "Yeah." He goes, "I love the old fighters." And he says, "What about Nigel Benn? He used to call himself the Black Bomber. He wouldn't be able to get away with that these days." And I'm thinking, Nigel Benn, the Black Bomber. That wasn't his nickname. I think he's getting mixed up with Joe Lewis, the Brown Bomber. But didn't want to pull him up on it, the old barber Andy. But a few mistruths being told over the scissors.
The Dark Destroyer, eh?
The Black Bomber was in no way related to the terror attacks.
I just dropped her. Oh, right, yeah. Anyway, Matty, you've uploaded something into the chat.
Did I ever tell you the one about
Did
Did I ever tell you one about the barber? She cut the eyebrows off. No.
Off air, you told us, yeah.
I tell yourself, yeah, it's classic that one.
Anyway. Matty, if you can still hear me, do you want me to put this up on the screen? You can tell us what you've added here.
Yeah, this one right here. This was the hairstyle last night. I believe this was the hair of where do I got that written down? I think that was Pacino Hill last night on the Top Rank card. And I don't know what the hell's going on with his hair, but my only hunch on how he came up with this style is he had a friend that went to him. He's like, man, I got two hands, I got my tongue, and I got my junk. I just don't know how I can handle more women at the same time. And Pacino was like, I got you, fam. I don't know.
That hair looks like they'd be green aliens out of Toy Story, actually. It looks awful.
Makes him look like a bit of a dickhead.
Oh, dear. Oh, good stuff, Matthew. Good stuff indeed. Any other nominations for you, Matty, before we move on?
No, that's my nomination for the week.
And that is a good one. That's a solid one. Andy, any from you, please?
I sent you a couple, mate, but it was a bit violence related. I know we're kind of
I didn't put them up.
So I mean, I've not really got I've not really kind of kept an eye on things this week, to be honest with you. But I've not really got much to hand to you, mate.
We can't post clips. We can't continue the War Machine series. What's the fucking point?
I know. We might as well just give up in episode 500. Maybe Donnie will be with us in episode 500, though. Do you have any nominations for this one? Episode 484, Belly of the Weeks, Donald.
Well, we're only 16 away, aren't we?
We are.
That's math.
Sweet 16.
And then October 14th of this year will mark 10 years.
There you go.
11, I think, maybe. Was it?
No, it was 2012 it started.
2011, I think the video started going up on YouTube, and then the podcast started in 2012. Is that the timeline?
October 14th, 2012 is episode 1.
Right, yeah, because Kurt put a load of videos up beforehand because they still get views to this day. Things like Mayweather, Ortiz, Ring Life.
You can still find the early ones on Tumblr. They're still there.
Yeah, the first episode is on YouTube, but after that it goes a bit dry till about 60, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'm surprised it's still on Tumblr because they got rid of all the porn there and our content. It's just as addictive and twice as sexy.
Yeah, come up from a guy who's done it,
Come on.
Co-signed.
Co-signed. Right, Donnie, any nominations, please?
No, sir.
Nothing from Donnie. Rob, anything from you, please?
Yeah, mine was Boo Boo, obviously, and Carl Frampton, who hosted a night in Belfast with guest Michael Francis, the ex-mafia mob leader. So Frampton doing wonders to fucking put out the rumors that he associates with mob bosses at all. They were in Belfast last night. Yeah, all the boys were down as well. Tommy Mack and Paddy Barnes, the usual Belfast suspects down, checking out a bit of Michael Franchise. I like a bit of that myself, actually. Sammy
I like
the Bull.
Francis actually, but Andy, he says he can't understand the Scouse or the Irish accent, so I wonder how that went down last night. Especially
Up in fucking Belfast. Fuck's sake.
I know. Jesus.
Okay, thanks very much, Rob. Let's go through them again before we make our picks for 484. Quite a strong week this week without any videos as well. First of all, we had Billy Nelson and Scam Jones going in on it. We had Ryan Deal's fantastic train spotting Photoshop. Got another Photoshop from Ryan Deal coming up shortly. Stay tuned for that. We had the Ebbs, Stig's Hairy Chest there going in on Ebbs as well. We had Don King at Gmail going in on us, trying to get us banned and censored. Josh Jamesy doing his Eddie Hearn impression. Fantastic that it was. Ultras podcast getting nominated by Scott Robbins. Chris Eubank offering up Canelo, as you do, if he beats Jake Paul. Tony Bellew and Troy Hawk got thrown in as well. Rick Glazer for his antics. Demetrius Andrade for his. The Gaffer. We got Rack Noble. WBA offering brides. Colin Dubois got a nomination as well. So did Isak Lowe. Ebbs. And this is Nicola Adams, rather. And her wife. Congrats to them. The fellow and Sonny Edwards going at it. Bill Creamben. Pacino Hill as well. Who you got then out of that motley crew, Andy?
I'm going to go for Andrade, mate. Just because he's failing at everything just now. He needs a win, so I think it's to do his confidence a wee bit good. Maybe get him off the bottle as well a wee bit. So I'll go for Andrade.
Yeah, that's sober out old Demetrius. He's got the first nomination. Matty, who are you going for?
Steve, I'm a little torn between Pacino Hill and his very intriguing hair, and the guy who thought he could go in and challenge a flyweight and pick on him. Man, that's a rough one. Let's go with Pacino Hill and the hair. Let's go with the hair.
Oh, it's a hair theme. Then we've got Pacino Hill first of all, and then we've got Demetrius Andrade, who likes a haircut himself. I am going for Donny. I'm going for Rick Glazer. I think he's
I forgot about that one.
I think he's
You change your vote, Andy?
I think I could actually. I could be persuaded. And it wouldn't take much actually to persuade me in this one.
I would not be surprised, Andy, if that turned out to be not a real person. I mean, what has he ever done in boxing to prove that he is actually a real boxer? This could have been a troll account all the time.
Mate, he actually posted up a picture of himself on the phone doing business stuff, doing boxing.
How do we know
business.
that was him?
We don't know, mate. We just got to take his word for it at the end of the day.
Wait. Didn't we communicate with him via this account in order to get him on our show?
Rick Glazer? Was he on here?
Yeah, I'm sure he was on this podcast. I'm sure he was.
Maddie talked to him.
I did?
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to find that, Matt.
Oh, that was fucking thousands of brain cells ago.
Yeah, that was about 9 years ago, but we did
was
have
about 1,000 grams ago, Matty.
Head down the rabbit hole like Alice there, Matty.
Yeah.
Telling you, fuck me.
Yeah, we totally did have him on. You got to look it up.
Are you going for him, Donny, or are you going for somebody else?
Glazer is good, and what was it? What was the other one that somebody voted for?
Andy went for Andrade.
Andrade.
Yeah,
Andrade, honorable mention.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I gotta vote for the train spotting. I thought that was great. I laughed at that so hard, man. That was unbelievable. And by the way, wait, who's number two there? Who's the chick that's in there?
That's Ebbs, Ebony Bridges.
Oh, that's Ebony Bridges.
She's a world champion.
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, but it didn't.
She does a great bit with the guy, actually, doesn't she, Steve?
Yeah, she does,
yeah. with Tommy's dad in there too.
Tommy's dad is just so fucking random. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
dude, that's fucking great.
Has anyone sent this to Tommy yet?
He's probably seen it. He's probably seen it.
It's toe curlingly good.
If Andy doesn't change his pick, that means that Rob has the hammer with 4 options on the table.
Go on, Rob.
Yeah, that's gotta be the winner. I don't even know how everybody didn't pick this.
We've seen this before. Go on, Rob. What are you going for?
Oh, look, it has to be Boo Boo, because not just for the call-out video. The call-out video in principle is random enough, because it's Eubank Jr. He's chasing for the payday. But the fact that he says, "Come on, man, the people want to see this. Luxembourg, What the fuck has Luxembourg got to do with this fight, man? Why are they all sitting on the edge of their seat in Luxembourg?
Luxembourg Commission, maybe, Rob?
Luxembourg, Netherlands,
Yeah,
Japan,
the only
in the PlayStation.
the only relevance that Luxembourg's ever had in boxing is when they licensed Derek Chisora to fight David Haye.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Luxembourg Commission, man.
I think it's a good reminder of how good public television was when we were young and growing up. Because you had shows like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, where somebody could learn world geography and put it into useful context.
Uncle Fraggle off the Fraggle Rock. You know what I mean?
You going for old Teddy Ruxpin then, Rob? Old Demetrius Andre?
It's got to be Boo Boo.
Congratulations, Boo Boo. You're the Value of the Week winner for episode 484. And before we go, another shout out to the Doctor himself. Don't forget, Doctor's dropping tomorrow. Here we are, the Phantom of the Opera. That was Ryan Deal again.
That's fucking quality. Quality.
Oh, good old Ryan. He produced that as well. He's been doing some good work lately, hasn't he?
Jesus.
Fucking Phantom of the Opera.
The Opera. He won't be happy about that, the Doctor. Oh, no.
I'll be raging. We'll give another quick shout out to the Doctor here before I hand back to Matty then with his thing dropping. Here it is.
AJ must let his hands go. He must be busy. He must use combination. AJ must jab. 1, 2, jab consistently, jab. Whenever he's coming, you jab.
Well said, Doctor.
Job. He must job.
That's the value of the week anyway. No Patreon subscribers this week on patreon.com/boxing.
Wait. Doesn't that clip remind you of who was that fucking guy, like the trainer who's like, double up the jab, triple up the jab? That's all he ever fucking said for the whole fight.
Oh, it was
Kelly
Pavlik against Hopkins, I think it was. Double up the jab and come with the hook. He couldn't get anywhere near him for the jab, mate.
Get back to pouring driveways, Jack. Get back to pouring driveways.
Matty, before you close out, can I just very quickly say something? R.I.P. Harry McGavock. Dave Lee made me aware of this today. The Big Bopper. People on the Belfast and Irish fight scene will know him. He was a respected MC. Great character. Always went around in his bow tie. My favourite moment from Harry, way back in the day, about 2008, 2009, in the Short Social Club in Belfast. He went to shake my hand and pulled me up onto a stage and dislocated my shoulder, pulled it out of its socket completely, and then ran around looking for a doctor. The Big Bopper is no more, passed away this morning. R.I.P. Harry McGavock. Thought I'd throw that in, Matty. Thank you.
He was either a beast of a man or you're a fragile individual, Steve.
I've had it pinned since then. It ended my boxing career prematurely.
Son of a bitch. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming on today. Steve Wellings, Andy Patterson, Rob Kelly, Donnie Baseball, and Ozzie Smith. We had a big full one today, which was great considering what a slow week it was. Good panel to help fill the time. It's been great talking with you guys this week. I've been your host, Matt DiGelinardo, and we will see you next week. Y'all have a fantastic one ahead.
We'll never forget.
Yeah, I think that's good happening.
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep. You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Grumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7-year ain't. I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love boxing sounds, as simple as that.